Oh, what? That's crazy.
That's kind of cool.
Oh, well, I definitely meant to put you behind the scenes and then introduce you and then bring you up, but I'm not yet used to this platform.
You
My
you can.
apologies.
And that's all right. You can go ahead. Go ahead. You can
Oh,
move
okay.
backstage.
Good evening, everyone. We have a special surprise guest. You guys will never guess who it is. Today, we will be talking about the black man's image. We will be asking some questions, levying some critiques, and giving possible solutions together with our good friend of the channel, Jamal,
What's going on,
otherwise
Prince Petty?
known on YouTube as the Beneficial Blurred, which
Hey,
is a
everybody.
mixture between a black nerd.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Welcome. Apologies for the botched introduction. I do apologize. And I do apologize to the chat for being, oh, we're 7 minutes late. Oops. I thought it was like a minute or two. Well,
7 is the number of completion. So I'm uh, touching on what is it? Hotepness. There you go. Some astrology.
hotepness.
Yeah. So we're doing that.
So,
Yeah.
what I'll ask is, do you have any memes that you would like to share, or are we going to hop straight into it?
Oh, memes. Oh man, I would have. Dang, I would have prepared some memes. Uh, so I like classic stuff. Can we look at old stuff?
Sure.
All right. Here I'll send it to you. I'll find it and I'll send it to you real
Show
quick.
me what you got.
I have old things. I have like old YouTube.
Welcome, everyone in the chat. Vision Harry, Kiera, Pretty in Black, Bella, They Love Mari, Alicia, So Golden.
Wait, I guess I can put it here. Wait, how do? Okay. How does this work? Oh, this thing's got so many chats. There we go.
Oh, this meme won't translate well. I'm trying to pull up the competition because the chat's gonna vote on which meme is better.
Oh no! Wait.
I didn't know we were gonna do memes either, or I would have
Okay.
had mine up. Okay, so here's what I'll do. I won't be gentlemanly. I'll go first,
Okay.
and then you'll go after. Because
Okay.
I don't have to look for a reel. I just know my Instagram reels are going to they're gonna have exactly what I need. Oh yeah, look at that. Here's this is what I'll do as my competition.
Oh
This is
gosh.
the one that I'll use. They said the scream came from the center of her soul. Why was she wiping so slow? Who changes a baby like that? How did it shoot like that? The fact that she screamed like that and for so long, this was a targeted attack. Blockbuster movie quality scream. Okay, that's what I'll present for my meme.
Oh gosh. That's
Good luck to you, sir. I hope you have one fire.
oh man. Whatever. Just play it.
I don't see it. You got it back here, or you sent it to. No pressure. No pressure at all, sir. Is this going to get me copyright?
It shouldn't.
Okay.
It's on YouTube.
Okay, I trust you.
It's old YouTube.
You're not cooking. Yeah, dude.
Pork chop sandwiches. Oh shit! Get the fuck out of here! What are you doing? Go! Get the fuck out of here, you stupid idiot! Fuck We're all dead! Get the fuck out! My God, did that smell good.
Detective, there's no going and you tell me do things. I done running.
G.I. Joe!
So let me first say, as I put the poll up, let me first say, for the first time in a very long time, I feel confused. And I feel like this is how my audience feels whenever I show one of my Gen Z memes and nobody laughs.
Oh no.
I feel like everyone is laughing with you and I'm confused. But I assume they're going to get it. Third option, okay, well, they don't.
I would say maybe they don't. Oh, third option? Like we need to pick something else?
Alicia, who did you vote for?
Oh no.
No, no pressure.
She's Sweden.
Confused but funny. See, anyway.
That's like classic. That's classic YouTube.
Okay, it's 50-50. I think I should end the poll before it goes either way. That's what I'll do. But I won't.
Oh
But
no.
with that being said, I'm going to play my intro and we can get straight into it.
All right.
Or will I?
I would have been swallowed up. Have you ever been swallowed up? Swallowed up. Have you ever been swallowed up? Swallowed up. Have you ever been swallowed up? Been swallowed up. Been swallowed up. Been swallowed up. Swallowed up. Have you ever been swallowed up? Swallowed up. Been swallowed up. Swallowed up. Been swallowed up. Swallowed. Swallowed up. Swallowed. Been swallowed up. Swallowed.
The comments are fairly split. The comments are fairly split. It will lean either way and then go back to 50-50.
Okay.
So, anywho, you wanted to talk about the black man's image with the prompt questioning, critiquing, and figuring out what to do with the black man's image. I do want to ask what inspired this topic in you
Yeah.
and why me?
Why you? Because I feel like you are a very intellectual young man that is interested and curious about the black community and black culture in general. And I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. But I think maybe I just kind of got that sense from like other conversations that we've had and seeing some of the content that you've made. But the thing that has kind of sparked this topic of discussion for me is particularly for me in regards to like the YouTube space. I really got, probably like everybody else, got interested in, I guess, what would be considered like the gender wars and all that stuff during 2020. And so there's been a lot of like discussions, a lot of opinions, a lot of things here and there. And at the core of a lot of it is black men. And there are really strong sides. Some people are very pro. Black men are kings and gods and all these things. And then you get the complete opposite side is that they are dusties and useless and all of this stuff.
And where does your opinion fall?
Where does my opinion fall? I sadly, I think I lean a lot more to the latter.
You don't think we were kings?
Not all of us. Nope. And I think it's been
at least one king and queen had to be. Well, I don't know if any part of Africa was a monarch, actually.
No, that's fair.
Probably. I mean, I assume maybe somewhere. But so
No,
you view black men and by extension me as dusty.
That includes myself too. Like we've been there. I think a lot of work needs to be done. And I think the reason that kind of sparks this idea for me about critiquing and analyzing the black man's image is, I think for us to make any kind of changes, we have to have a clear picture of what we're actually working with. And
Okay.
yeah, and I think for me, the difficulty in trying to make some progress is we don't stick with an agreed upon or honest foundation to work with. If you do think and you're convinced that your kings and everything is perfect, or that like there is no issues, then you're not going to make any changes. You're not going to have a fair critique.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it seems that you view the black male image as less than stellar. You believe that the community broadly does not. And you believe that this is a sort of veil, and without this veil being lifted, then you don't believe that the image that you see, which is less than stellar, can be improved.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's layered too. I think the image that we're working with, or the images that we see, there are various vantage points. So we have external vantage points, and then we have internal ones. And I don't know if they are all consistent. And so that's why I figured we can kind of discuss that, and I can hear your point of view. Because I mean, what do you think? Like, what's Kangs or dust? What do you think?
The image of black men, I think, externally is kind of a mixed bag. I think probably left leaning people would be more sympathetic towards black men in their imagining of the image. And I think right leaning people tend to be very brutal when
Mm,
determining what the black male image looks like. So I think broadly, externally, I think broadly the image of black men is negative, although I do think some people provide reasoning for that, usually systemic reasoning, poverty, racism, or whatever have you, that might cause black men to go down one path as opposed to another. And the other side, I think, just don't like black people, and they just like
well, yeah.
one with Negroes, always doing Negro activity, eating cats and dogs. You know how those people are. Um, so that's what I think it is externally. Internally, mm, internally, I think we have a paternal instinct of black men, and I think, hmm, how do I put it into words? I think we have a desire to protect black men from white supremacy in the outside world. Um, Yeah, I'll end my side there. I think we have a paternal instinct. Internally, externally, I think it's generally negative, even though some
Mm,
people attempt to provide good reasoning for why that is.
okay. No, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Again, like I don't in this discussion, I don't have any right answers. I'm just going again going off of my observations and trying to gather some general observations, because again, I think if we are to make any kind of improvement, we need a good image of where we are and then where we're trying to go. I think it's just like a map. You got to be able to start from here so that you can actually get to wherever there is. And I feel like that's kind of been a reoccurring issue within our community, but particularly for Black men. Because I mean, in comparison, and I feel like I've heard you discuss this, or at least we've been in the same spaces where this is discussed. In comparison, we have Black women. We have our sisters who have also been, and still are given, a lot of negative uh, images and perceptions or whatever, right? But they also have improving and changing positive images that are either going parallel with it or actually fighting against it. Like there is actual change and growth in their image. while ours seems to be floundering.
So you believe the black male image is stagnant and black women are redefining black womanhood as
I don't
far as
even
their image, redefining black woman's image, excuse me, not
no
womanhood.
no yeah. I don't even know if it's stagnant for us. I feel like particularly with the stuff that's going on with the internet recently, I feel like it's regressing some. Um and it's becoming even more, I guess, diabolical. Because like even when you're saying like the paternal instinct, uh the care for black men internally, I think with the, I don't want to say the advent of the internet, like the very beginning of it, but with a lot of the discussions that we can see online now from YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and stuff, there are a lot more internal voices who are voicing things that I guess match, like how you were saying, kind of a conservative or right leaning
Hmm.
image of black men, and I think that's kind of throwing things in a tizzy. And yeah, I feel like if we're not honest about it, we can't actually make change.
So, do you believe black men are becoming more conservative?
Uh,
Or when you
that,
say regressing,
mhm,
well, I'm thinking conservatism
got you.
or traditional, like regressing back into a prior society. So I'm
Hmm.
thinking traditionalism and conservatism.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Uh, I was leaning more to just like trashy, so not even, so not even in the sense of like, because even when you say that in regard like the traditionalism or holding up like these ideals, there is typically uh it's supposed to go hand in hand, right? So if you are, say, somebody is claiming to be more conservative, they're trying to uphold Judeo-Christian standards and yada yada yada, right? Uh, there is supposed to be like other behaviors that kind of match that. So if like, okay, if I'm going to be a more traditional man, other standards in my life should also change. What I'm seeing and what I'm hearing is it's more cherry picking. It's kind of like, okay, I'm going to be traditional in this area. Like, I want to be, I have these expectations. Like, I want a woman to just be a housewife and stuff like that. And I'm going to be the sole breadwinner, kind of provider. Um, but at the same time, I'm also going to be hoeing on the side. So it's not like, oh, I want to be a good conservative Christian and I want to be faithful to my wife and I want to do all the these things right because this is what I believe or understood the 50s to be like. It's like, no, I just want to take things that are considered traditional or conservative for my benefit, but at the same time still be gross. So that's what I mean by like regressing. Is like we've decided to choose some things to fight for and to acknowledge and say, yeah, this is how men are supposed to be. But on the other side of it, or like covertly, still dogging out and still being like not good, if that makes sense.
Yes. Do you believe this issue is specific to black men?
Uh, no, I don't think it's specific to black men. I gotta frame this right. Black people are more my priority. So I think it's trash everywhere. Like I think men are having it's pretty bad everywhere. But my focus is my major interest is the black community and black men
Why is your major interest the black community?
because I'm black. um, um, yeah, I mean, not only that because I'm black, but like I think our community um, really needs a lot of help and there has been efforts and attempts made to make progress within our community. And so, yes, I'm Black, but our community has kind of been, not kind of, but has been at the bottom since our ancestors were enslaved. And other people, they either were in charge of or had a big part to play in the enslavement, or there are other individuals who are benefiting off of the hard work that we were doing. And they are focused on their communities, they're focused on their people. And I think it's only a good idea and right for us to do the same. Like everybody else is, whatever their nationality or their ethnicity is or whatever, they focus on home. But our home is a lot of time thrown out on Front Street, and people just come and pick up stuff. It's kind of like being evicted, and people just take all of our stuff and then make it their own while we're out here struggling. So I think we need to do our best to get our stuff back, or if we can't get it all back, start focusing on how we can keep our stuff and build up our house so people can stop pilfering from it.
Do you think Black people focus enough on the Black community?
Collectively,
Yeah. Or,
um,
or you can give your opinion on Black men, since the conversation is about their image.
not en masse, no, not the majority,
Really?
really, really.
When when I say focus on the Black community, what comes to mind for you?
Um, like investment in Black people, the development and betterment of Black people, um, whether that's children, boys and girls, um, adults, or and even the elderly. Like anything that's related to the better, the advancement of colored people, not colored people, but the advancement of Black people. Like I don't know in mass or a majority of us as Black men are committed to that. I don't think that's the case.
You think there's intragroup tension?
I think there is. I don't know if this is the right phrasing, but I feel like there's intra group neglect. I don't even know if there's tension. Like I don't even think there's fighting. I think there are some people who are like, F it. Like I don't I'm not interested. I'm more concerned about what I can get and what can be better for me rather than the actual benefit of the whole. Um, which again, I don't even think it's like a fight kind of thing. It's kind of like one group is running away and the other group is like, yo, why are you leaving? And other group is just like flipping them the bird. And so it's not even like going back and forth with like, oh, this is more important or whatever. It's just like one side is prioritizing selfish ambition and the other smaller group actually wants there to be benefit. And then I think they're probably, I don't know if it's larger middle group that's just indifferent, you know.
When I said intragroup tension,
Mm-hmm.
what I mean would be maybe like an internal division based on class
Mm.
or skin tone, colorism,
Mm-hmm.
or education, maybe even regional or cultural differences.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I don't think this would be amongst Black men, but lighter skin might be perceived more favorably in some contexts, leading
Mm-hmm.
to feelings of inferiority amongst darker skinned Black men. I actually think it's the opposite. I think darker skinned Black men are preferred, because I think dark skin has more of a I think people associate it more with masculinity. Um, but
Mm,
That's what I mean from earlier when I
mm,
say intragroup tension.
mhm. Uh, I think that in all of those different levels of, we'll call it intersectionality for right now, I think the way I described it still exists. Is the okay? You
The
all right
whatever
over there?
that is too strong. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Whatever that is too strong.
You need a moment.
No, please continue.
Okay. um. Yeah. So the idea of there being people who black men who just don't care, and those who do care, I think that same mindset exists in all of those different areas. So I think you have those who are in academia, whether they're light skin or dark skin or whatever, some that care and some who just like, I just want letters behind my name and I like flexing on people. And you have the same for those who may not be in education or those who are in different economic status, you know, places or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, I think there is that just that dynamic of like, I'm going to get mine and by any means necessary. And then there are those who are like, I want to get stuff so that I can actually give it to those in my community. And I do think the latter is the minority.
Oh, you're talking about save yourself black men or
Yes.
no? Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you think class divides also fuel perceptions that some black men view themselves as kind of making it out and distance themselves from the community?
Do I think class like has an influence on that?
Yeah, like maybe a educated, wealthy black man makes it out the hood, quote unquote, made it out.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, do you think this is part of what's creating some distance? Do you think they are creating distances from distancing themselves from the community? Or what demographic do you think it is? Because you did bring up the intellectual blacks.
Yeah. Um, I don't think it matters actually. I mean, I do think class can play a part, um, but I think it shows up in different ways. So even like with that example of uh, class, so somebody's made it out of the hood, like you said, quote unquote, and now they have better financial means. I think there are some who do that and still come back to their community. They try to take that financial upcoments to actually benefit those in the black community. And then there are those who make it out and never look back. And then you also have those who are in not so good socioeconomic statuses who don't care about their community at all. Again, their focus is on whatever will best benefit them. And then you have those who are like, no, even though we are in the quote unquote hood, I still want things to be better for my people.
Do you think the community is safe for those individuals in particular, wealthy, educated black men?
Uh, I think okay, is a community safe for educated black men who are wealthy?
Yeah, like when you say they'll leave and then not, some will leave, not come back, and then others care about their community.
Hmm.
What comes to mind for me is Nipsey Hussle. I don't think Nipsey Hussle is educated. I don't think so, but
Okay,
wealthy, sure.
sure.
And I think about people called him a giver backer to the community, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And so I'm thinking about the idea of coming back to a community that I believe can be violent, especially
Hmm.
from black men to other black men.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, is it a fair ask for us to tell people who have quote unquote made it out
Hmm.
to physically come back?
Hmm. I mean that's up to them. Like there are different ways that you can sort of give back to your community. That doesn't mean yet like if you moved out of the city, if we're using the city as a place that is considered the hood, if you moved out of the city, you don't necessarily have to move back to it to benefit it. You could. I think there are some wealthy black men who do that, who are they are in their community involved and live there. But that doesn't mean that's the only way that you have to do it. But is it safe? I think in general, the safety of our community is not probably not that good. Um,
Oh,
I mean, it sucks. But I mean, like you said, I can't remember the stat off the top of my head, but the last I checked, homicide. I'm sorry if that's I don't know if that's a
no,
YouTube
it's
word.
fine.
Homicide amongst black men is one of our higher causes of death. You know, which sucks. It's really bad. I'm not saying it's. I can't remember. I don't know if it was number one, but
I think
uh,
it's number one for. I can't remember the ages. I'm pretty sure it goes up to 40, and then past
yeah,
40 it would be like heart disease or something like
yeah,
that. I can't
yeah,
remember the exact details though.
yeah, yeah. And so, like, even in that, like you just mentioned, heart disease. Sometimes that in itself is an issue because we're not doing a better job of taking care of ourselves. So there's a lot of. Sometimes we can have. I'm just using this word broadly. We can have hate externally to other black men, and other times we can even have hate internally by not actually taking care of ourselves, and that's an issue. And I don't think that necessarily has to. It's not. I want to say predicated on your socioeconomic status or your education. I think those things can have an influence on it, because your wealth and your education can equip you to make different or different decisions. Um, but it's not limited. I think the heart of it though is, are you thinking about the good of all, or are you just again just save yourself, black man, like you said?
So when you say not taking care of themselves,
Hmm.
couldn't we say that for black people there tends to be, because poverty correlates a lot with
Yeah,
blackness, unfortunately.
yeah,
Couldn't we say there's a sort of food insecurity when it comes to not taking care of yourself in that regard specifically?
hmm,
Um, does this cause obesity? Maybe not directly,
hmm,
but aren't there conditions that create food insecurity that might promote obesity, for example?
yeah, absolutely. There are definitely a lot of external things that can influence, like external conditions and influences that can impact the way that we live and move. No denying of that. But how we choose to address those things and focus on those things is kind of core to it. Some of us, even with YouTube, there's lots of resources online for this particular topic, health. There are several. Let me see if I can find at least two that I know of. Um, Black men who talk about health and food. Um, Let me grab it real quick.
So while you pull that up,
Yeah.
I will levy another question about also when it comes to taking care of yourself and your body. I'm pretty sure obesity generally starts in childhood and then persists later into life. Could we not say that there might be a lack of safe spaces for children to play in the community? And besides nutrition, physical activity would be the largest determining factor for someone to become overweight or obese. So, if someone's living in poverty or in a dangerous neighborhood, couldn't they have reduced access to opportunities to exercise? Or couldn't sports club or extracurricular activity be too unaffordable?
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. Like, I don't get me wrong. I am. very aware that there is a lot. Again, there are a lot of systemic things in place that make it very, very difficult for Black people in general to be healthy and well. And those things are at times very, very difficult to navigate. Let me see. Let me share my screen real quick
Okay.
just to show these two that, at least that I'm aware of,
You came
that
with
have.
receipts, huh?
Let's see. I don't know. Let me know if you can see.
Here, I'll add this to the screen.
Okay. So here's one. His name's Yaki Awakened. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he talks a lot about food and health. Black man. I think he's based in St. Louis. So that's one. And then I don't know if you can see this. Dr. Bobby Price is another one. And so they're both focusing on food and health for people in general, but two Black men who are focused and committed to trying to help people in general. But I do know they make points related to Black people.
But what are two men against a system?
Oh yeah, I mean, hey man, we are fighting the Matrix. Like seriously, we are. We are. It's a super huge machine that we have to fight against. But whether it's two men or 200 men, the fact that we're fighting is the helpful part. That's the thing. And so these two examples, at least for me, would be those men who are like, okay, I actually want to provide something that can help my people, you know.
So
I can take this off the screen.
when it comes to, I don't want to be big. When it comes to positive role models, I do agree with you. I do think, regardless of systemic factors, we should fight, even if it's an uphill battle. I do think we should do our best as individuals to navigate in the system, even if it's unfair. And I think that for every individual, right? Not just Black men, but Black women, obviously, too, LGBT, Asian, immigrants, like any minority or protected group, right? I would agree with you there. When you say that, so you showed me examples of Black men who are talking about healthy ways to engage with food, maybe healthy ways to engage with mental health.
Hmm.
Is your critique then that there's just not enough of that in the community? And if so, how much are you expecting to see?
I think that is a good part of my critique is that we don't have as many good images as we need. Because there's layers to how many images one we're exposed to daily, right? And so
Hmm.
even you mentioned about uh, dealing with obesity, right? That it very often starts young. Maybe for a lot of people, it starts in their childhood. Well, I think the same thing happens with the images that we deal with or that we see. Um, so the very first one, often, excuse me, for Black men, it would be their father, right? Or
Oh,
it would be, that's the first Black man that they have an example of to see. And I'm sure based off of your response, you understand why that's an issue within our community. Unless you, I don't know, unless you had other thoughts.
no, I'm trying to think of how to excuse absent fathers. I'm batting for men today. Um, aren't there, do you believe the absent father in the Black community is a myth?
Is a myth,
Yes.
as in absent fathers are, so the myth is that Black fathers are actually very present and they're always there.
Do you believe the notion that black men in the community, sorry, I should have phrased my question better.
It's
Do
all
you
good.
believe the notion of black men largely being absent fathers is false?
I do not. I think there is validity to that. Um, yeah, I think, and it's sad. I mean, I do think, from my understanding, I feel like there is effort being made within our community to change that. Um, I I'm friends with multiple black men who are black fathers who are very present in their child's lives, and I'm grateful for that. But I also know that is not the case for a lot of people, even today. I do think there is an effort trying to be made to change that, but I do think it's still, in my opinion, over 50%. Um, so it's leaning more to absence or absentees.
Do you believe? I'm trying to think of FD and some other people had a live stream about Cam Newton and they were talking about absent fathers, but I can't for the life of me remember their argument that well. Uh,
Mm.
do you believe that? Do you believe that the narrative that black fathers are irresponsible is rooted in traditional ideas of what a two-parent household looks like?
Irresponsible. Um, how are we defining the irresponsibility? So like not taking care of their kids, not being active in their kids' lives and stuff. Is that how we're describing it?
Sure.
Okay. I do think uh, that is a generational behavior that's passed down. That all a man has to do is kind of just be present or pay for bills and stuff like that. But I also understand that there is effort. Um, there's effort to try to show up and be more present fathers. And in this case, again, I understand that this is an issue, particularly in the United States, is an issue across communities. Like dads just actually being there and being fathers. But I know our focus right now is black men, so I, I think there is some irresponsibility definitely there, and I think the pushback now is trying to clarify and identify what it means to be a more active and present and more responsible father. But again, I don't think it's at stellar rates yet.
Do you think it's worth thinking about systemic factors at play? If black family structure is disintegrating, does it have why a black child is 6 times more likely to have or have had an incarcerated parent than a white child? Black men are also, I think, twice as likely. I might be wrong on that stat, but it's obviously much more likely than white men to be killed by the police. Doesn't this take fathers away from the community?
Biological ones, yeah.
That
Uh, this is- uh, I do. I mean, again, I'm not gonna. It's very layered. I understand that. I'm not gonna deny that. Like for me, my growing up, my father was incarcerated, so there were times where I didn't see him. Um, but there were also times where he wasn't in prison, but because he wrestled with addiction, he wasn't there either. So there are a variety of things that can have make an impact on that. But I I will say that if we are more community focused, which has been the case for some people have these. See ya. Um, Thank you for showing up. Thank you for commenting. I appreciate it. Um, there's an if though for men that are community minded, uh, they will figure out ways to try to be, whether it's role models or like secondary fathers, to children, not just young boys, but to children who need it. And I think there needs to be more of that. There have been examples of that, within our community, and I know people, you know, friends and family and stuff who have had those experiences. You know, adopted fathers, adopted grandfathers, or uncles are stepping in place. You know, but uh, I think there again just needs to be more of that, and that it should be encouraged. But you know, there are thoughts to say that if you are being a stepfather, that you are not a good man, or you're not really being a man. Like you shouldn't be trying to take care of anybody else's kids. Like in that situation, that leads to that ideology that I was saying about save yourself, black man. That's selfish.
So ultimately, is your request for black men broadly to create community programs for black boys without fathers to fill in the space of, I guess, the absent father in the community?
Yeah, no, I think that would be a really good idea. And I say that, I can't say that I've done a lot of research, to see if stuff like that exists. You know, for me, you know, I just, you know, gave examples, from my personal life when my dad wasn't in my life for periods of time. Um, I had church ministers and people like that, step in those situations for me. So whether it's like a youth minister, a youth pastor, or something like that, they became an example and a role model for me. Um, so I can't say that currently there are no community organized opportunities or whatever organizations that exist like that. But yeah, that would be a great example. That would be a great, um, solution, great solution to kind of deal with that issue.
Um, I don't disagree. Do you think those? I know you said you didn't know, but do you think those communities, those type of community-based boy groups, do you think they exist already for boys?
Um, I I'm just gonna say I don't know. I'm sure they could, um, but it's not like, for example, like it, if they do exist, they aren't maybe as publicized or quote unquote like marketed compared to like a boys and girls club or something like that. You know, um, something that has a larger presence,
Hmm.
but that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist.
So I don't know. I wouldn't be able to give you a percent as far as how many boys clubs or groups exist for the purpose you described.
Yeah.
Um, but I believe they exist.
Mhm.
And I believe these groups might exist as part of maybe a church program, or maybe if you're a part of a sports team, sometimes your coach
Mhm.
might have groups that you can join,
Yeah.
or just being on the team is a group itself, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe those dad groups where they teach you how to change a tire, or day-to-day stuff that you might encounter in your life that
Yeah.
might be difficult for you to learn without a father. These groups, I believe, exist. Whether or not they exist in the same capacity that girls and women's group exist, I don't know. But I do believe they exist and they're available for people to use. But I also believe that women would be much more likely to take care of, women and girls would be much more likely to take advantage of those groups than men and boys. So, what do you do, or what do you propose when the program is available, but the boys aren't using it? But there are men in the group who are attempting to do a dad group or something like that for the kids.
No, yeah, that's an absolutely fair question. We have to keep trying. Like we have to keep trying, and also I think it's important to try to re-emphasize the importance and need of it. Because it's true. Like I agree with you. It is. Uh, it's more likely that a young lady would join a group of sisters who are in need of, say, a mom or older sister or something like that, than it is for a young man to join a group with older men or mentors. I think the dynamic often, this is just my opinion, the dynamic for young men is usually to trust and look to their peers more than it does to those who are older. Um, it's just easier, like if I have a friend that's in my class or on my sports team or whatever that I think it's cool and that knows just a little bit more than me, I'm going to want to spend more time with them than actually spending time with somebody who may feel uncool or, distant from my daily reality. I think for a lot of guys, it's just a lot easier to be like, no, I'm just going to hang out with my friends and my peers. And we're all going to choose or identify maybe amongst us who is the coolest or who is the smartest and kind of just listen to them rather than a mentor. And I think the difficulty with that is trying to convince uh, young men that their elders actually have something to say. But also, the challenge with that is to have more men present. Like you gave the example of coaches on sports teams. That's a great example. Um, because of the dynamic and the setup of a coach trying to help athletes become better athletes or whatever, there's already this automatic like kind of trust. It's like, all right, well, I'm going to trust you in this area of my life. Now, because I trust you here, maybe I can trust you in, say you're trying to help me with my homework or education or dealing with my anger, whatever. Using those situations, the coach is there every practice, so you see them repeatedly over and over and over again. But these other situations, it might not be as often, even if you have, you gave the example of like churches, if it's a youth minister or a pastor or something like that, maybe if the family is very active in church, bare minimum, they'll see that pastor or youth minister maybe twice. Sometimes with sporting events and sports teams, see him multiple times a week, because you got to go multiple practices. There's a higher rate of touch, or impact. And I think in general, we need more impact, if that makes sense.
Yes, I don't disagree with you. Um, I forgot. I believe it was either Georgetown or Stanford. I can't remember at the moment, but they did a study around upwards mobility for black boys, white boys, black women, and white women. And what they found, I'm pretty sure you know already, but what they found was when you, certain things will predict how well adjusted the boy or girl would become to society. So when it comes to like the income gap between black women and white women, for example, what they found was if you start both a white girl and a black girl off in an affluent neighborhood, as opposed to what statistically usually might happen to a black girl starting in a low income neighborhood. But if you start them both in a good neighborhood, in a family with a good income, in a neighborhood without violence, largely they would have similar outcomes, and the sort of black and white gap between black and white women disappears. This was not true for black boys. What they found was even when you go to uh, let me see if I can pull it up actually. Even when you go to good neighborhoods, even when you account for incarceration and you look at black men who've never been in prison, even when you look at family structure as far as are both parents in the home, all of this had an effect on black women and black girls, of course, which is to be expected. Like, obviously, if you grow up with two parents, you're more likely to have better outcomes because there are certain circumstances that tend to come along with growing up with a single parent. Obviously, if you live in a less violent neighborhood, or if you live in a neighborhood that offers social programs to poor people or whatever have you, they're all I'm saying by mentioning all of this is these are obvious reasons why black and white people tend to have differences in like income, education. And when you account for those differences, then that gap goes away, suggesting that there's nothing about inherently being black that makes you more predisposed to being poor. Excuse me, more predisposed to being poor. I'll just say that to crudely summarize. But rather, black people tend to be affected by systemic issues like poverty and racism and blah blah blah. They also did stuff where they went to less racist um, areas that were defined as less racist, more socially progressive, and stuff like that. So, as to be expected, black women were able to do good. Sorry, I know I'm being very long-winded. What was surprising about the study was that um, black boys, even when you account for these factors, still had lower rates of upward mobility than white boys in 99% of census tracts. So there aren't, to quote it directly, there just aren't many. The researchers found that black boys have lower rates of upward mobility than white boys in a whopping 99% of census tracts. Um, there just aren't many, if any, geographic areas where outcomes for black and white boys are equivalent. Um, and more specifically, where to go? I'm looking down here for a specific part they talked about that I think you would agree with. So the gap between the two expands in quote unquote good areas with low poverty rates and a large number of college grads. Um, there's still a gap. Here it is. So there are areas they find where the gap between white and black boys' outcomes is smaller than usual. Regions with lower poverty, a higher fraction of low income black fathers present rather than incarcerated, deceased, or living elsewhere, and lower levels of measured racial animus amongst whites tend to have smaller gaps and better outcomes for black students. Um, that's not what I was looking for. That is what I was looking for, but they said black students, but the specific part that I was reading had to do with black boys specifically. But it does suggest that when black fathers are present in the neighborhood, this does have an impact on whether or not a black boy in his adulthood will be able to, what's the word, compete. So I think your idea around black boy oriented community groups, investing in black boys in the community, based on the research I've seen, I believe this will do meaningful work, not just to the black man's image, but to the black man and black boy's reality. My question is, I don't think they're gonna do that. I don't know how to say that more professionally, but I don't think they're gonna do that. I didn't seen something called The Stepdad from Disney, and it was black man who ended up meeting an Asian woman who her ex died in a war, and she immigrated to the US, and then she met this black man and they ended up dating, and he marries her, becomes a stepfather to her child who her ex left behind obviously when he passed. And all in the comment section, let me pause and say one comment section is not indicative of every black man's thoughts in the community, nor do I believe black men are a monolith. But for this point specifically, I do believe this is a widely shared sentiment amongst men. They were in the comments talk about all types of used goods, and let me just pull it up. Why make stuff up when we could just quote directly? Disney turned off the comments. It was the stepdad. I'm trying to find one of their videos where they didn't turn the comments off because they turned them comments off quick.
I'm sure.
I can't find a single like I'm. You don't know how desperately I'm looking for this. Oh, here's someone reviewing it. Let's look a little bit at his review.
Okay.
I have never watched this, by the way. If it gets like flagrant or something, I'm a remove it.
Okay.
Disney promotes black boys to be stepdads when they grow up. Let me quickly play a little bit of the film, by the way. I have to turn the sound off and we have to skip through it because
Oh yeah, they'll get you. Disney will get you.
Disney, yeah. But just imagine it's playing and there's sweet warm Christmassy music playing in the background. I know it's
Hmm.
October and we're in a Halloween spirit, but try to move yourself 2 months forward real quick. We have this man, he's dating this woman, she has these pictures of her kids. Let's see what happens. I think they're reading the book. Okay, so he sees them reading a book. I think this was a book that their dad used to read them. He wants to recreate the magic that they had, and so he does something. Yeah, look, he made the magic happen. Blah 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 blah. That's the whole ad. That's it. That's the whole ad.
Hmm.
It's just a what I think is a heartwarming story about a man and his blended family.
Hmm.
So let's go to the critique. Disney
Boy.
promotes. Can I find just one with comments though? Like
Probably not.
the UK? Nope, they don't have the comment sign. Okay, well, collective outrage over. Here, let's just listen to it.
You know, the stepdad. You know, it's Christmas time. It's the holiday season, family time. And here's Disney with the image to the brother, to the black man
No, I skipped.
in his hand. It's all he got. Your family, you step. And here's Disney with the image to the brother, to the black man. Come be this stepdaddy. You know, black man. You that's what you do. You know, you stepdaddy material. You know, you boyfriend material. You know, leave your family or who cares if you got kids or it don't even matter. They got him coming with the box in his hand. It's all he got. He ain't got nothing. No other cases. The cartoon got the brother with the box and he go move in their house and he ain't even his joint moving them in or whatever like that. Because I'm like, it's different. I believe you gonna be a stepdaddy, then you need to be a father too, right? Meaning single fathers or something like that. You raising your kids and you want to raise somebody else's kids. That's on you. I don't suggest that's what you should be out here trying to do, but if you ain't raised your kid, why did you raising somebody else's kid? That's all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Because if your child don't live with you, you ain't raised them. That has nothing to do with whether you took care of them now or helped take care of them.
Now, keep in mind, Disney didn't say nothing about coming to raise somebody kids, nor did they say that you need. I think the critique that we're mainly going to see if we go through one or two of them is
Hmm.
this is Disney subtly promoting simpery to black boys, and they want to program, like using television. People say this a lot, like
Mhm.
they want to put gay stuff on TV or they want
Mhm.
to put
Mhm.
woke stuff on TV to indoctrinate, right? So I think I dropped something. I think the critiques are mainly going to be they're trying to program our children, black
Mhm.
boys, to be stepdads, which they believe is bad because this is simping and taking care of, quote, another man's sperm. I
Mhm.
believe this is widespread amongst black men.
Mhm.
Amongst, I don't know if I would say amongst all men, but I do think a lot of men, even non black men, believe this. So if this is the sentiment in our community, and before you answer, I'll let it play a little bit more.
Mhm.
But if this is a common thought in our community, then what hope do we have if we look at a black boy as another man's sperm if it's not our child, and if we don't look at our child because apparently we're not in the home,
Right.
but then what hope do we have as far as creating a community where even if you don't have a father, there is a community of other men who will embrace you, and see value in you as a black boy worth investing in. Thank you for the super chat, Vision Harry. Three took black men out the home.
Mhm.
I'll let you think on that question a little bit as we listen more to his critique.
Okay.
Now, talking about raising, you know what I'm saying? It's like if you ain't bought your kid no Christmas gift, but you bought your girl kids Christmas gift, right? So they got the black man, they hyping it up, got the music, and then the doors open. Ain't even know, go be a stepdaddy to at least your peoples. It ain't work out for you. You go be that boyfriend stepdaddy for your people, but baby mama blowing you up and all that. He done blocked her. He done blocked her and ducking them and shit. Back shot support some more shit. Fuck that. You about to be going, knock on the door. It ain't even a black woman and some of her badass kids or whatever. It's who sang them kids. It's Chinese blended families. And then you don't come in, you about to be stepdaddy to a whole nother race, right? And I don't even know why they would put a Asian woman and all them damn kids moving stepdaddy in. They need to be upset. Tell them Asian women, they need to be upset. Because that's not an Asian problem. Right? Ain't a bunch of Asian bitches with 4 kids, 5 baby daddies just running around, right? But not only can be stepdaddy, come moving with this blended family. He having the greatest time.
I forgot there was a critique about him dating interracially. They said he should have been with a black queen. Now, I don't even know why they would say that. If this was, I promise, if this was a black woman in this advertisement and he
Mhm.
was coming to raise her kid, it don't matter if her husband died in a war overseas. I promise if this was a black woman in the advertisement like this and a black man came in to be a stepdad to her multiple kids, I promise the critique would be worse. I
I
promise it
I
would.
don't disagree with that.
But they are saying they would have preferred it have been a black woman.
Yeah. I think the not trying to be fully in defense of Disney. I think this is just easier to depict because if I mean I haven't watched this short. I'm not sure if there's actual dialogue in it or whatever,
We've
but
been listening to the stepdad. I
yeah, the
thought you meant what
actual.
he was saying. I
Oh
thought
no
you
no
were dragging him.
no 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 the actual stepdad, animation or whatever. I don't know if there's actual words or
Nope.
conversation or if it's right. So if it was a black woman with black children and a black man showed up, just image alone, I don't think it would be easy for them to communicate that, oh, it's a stepdad. It would just be like, oh, that's just that's just a dad. He's just there. It's like,
Oh,
you get what I'm saying? In comparison to if we choose people that are completely opposite, now it looks like, oh, okay, he's coming in to their culture and to their family
I
and showing up.
reject that. The title of
Okay.
this is The Stepdad. I don't know if they showed this on TV, but on YouTube it says The Stepdad. Right in the beginning of the movie, in bright letters in the middle of the screen, it says The Stepdad. TM Disney. I
Hmm.
don't believe it. I don't believe they
I
did this.
mean, again, I agree with you. If there would still be complaints, because I think the notion of being a stepdad is, even though it is present within our community, it is still talked down upon, like it's frowned upon.
So, do you want to watch more, or would you like me to restate my question and you can answer it?
Restate your question and I'll answer it.
Okay, you said you had enough. You had enough. I'll leave him on the screen. It's good to have a third person. So, given that this sentiment, I believe,
Hmm.
this is like a crude. What I actually believe is that although we vote liberally, for a large part, I know black men vote more conservatively than black women, but generally they tend to vote more liberally than conservative. I think we vote liberally, but socially, would I call this conservative though? It's not that I believe this is a conservative. The being a stepdad is simping. I don't know if I believe that's a conservative idea. It seems like a red pill idea, and I think I heavily tie red pill with conservatism in my mind based
Hmm.
on
That's fair.
their presentation.
Yeah.
So I'll put a pin on that. But I believe even though we vote liberally, we're socially conservative, which I do believe means we view women, especially single mothers, in a bad light.
Hmm.
Largely see them as kind of worth less,
Hmm.
and the children that are a product of these women and their the children's father, I believe we don't view as I believe we don't. If I'm being honest, I don't think people tend to view these children as like fully human. They view them in concepts, and the way that I hear them referred to generally is, "Why would I raise another man's sperm?"
Hmm.
So it's like it's not even you have the courtesy of being a child.
Hmm.
So, given that, I believe this sentiment is regular in the community, and you can reject that if you want to. What
Hmm.
hope do we have of creating community based programs to help these people?
I think it's just, again, that's a fair question. Uh, for a lot of the change, let me answer this directly first. The hope is slim, but for a lot of the, for a lot of the change that we need to see in our community, again, when it particularly comes to black men, there is a big, yeah, there is a big, it's very lopsided, you know, towards the negative. So there is a very steep uphill battle that we have to fight and that we have to navigate through. And the continued perpetuation of these kind of ideas and beliefs makes it difficult. It's like pouring oil down the steep hill that we're trying to climb up and you know surmount. It doesn't help. So, what hope do we have? It's slim, but there's still hope. I don't think it's all. I don't think it's everything is lost. Um, we got to hold on to it. We got to fight.
Do you consider yourself a good black man?
Uh,
You're a little
no,
hesitant
no,
there.
yeah, I'm a work
Wait,
in
no?
progress.
I'm
I'm a work
sorry.
in progress.
Huh?
I'm a work in progress. If
Well,
I'm being honest.
what would you like to divulge more to us?
Divulge. I can the what I'm comfortable divulging is
Or
I am
you can just elaborate. You don't have to get
yeah.
into your personal
Um,
details.
I can admit that I have been raised and steeped in patriarchy and misogyny and misogynoir, and so there is a lot of things that I was completely unaware of that I need to um, like delete out of my life because it's you just it's just like fish don't know that water's wet; they're just in it. Um, And so that kind of stuff, that programming that exists all around us, that we're all, both you and I, even the guy with the polo shirt, is raised up in, we have to work to actually identify those things and work through them. and kind of free our minds from them. So yeah, I'm not there. Like there is still misogyny, misogynoir, and patriarchy, even levels of like elitism that I know I personally have to work through. Like I'm grateful that I've had the opportunity to like to go to college and things like that. And there are moments where I have to like just because I went to college doesn't mean I'm necessarily better than anybody else. You know, so there is work in me, and so even with my channel, it's not saying that I am a beneficial man. Like I'm trying to become one. Like I'm actually trying to hey I'm trying to get to that place of being a beneficial man or beneficial blurred. Like I'm actively working to grow into that. You're having a lot of fun with these like transitions with the
Sorry.
comments. No, it's all good.
So you bring up an interesting point. Well, first, I should have defined good man before asking you. My apologies.
No, it's all good.
I won't, but I should have. So, so I take your point. Um, I do think, I think your entire life, not you, just people, I think
Mhm,
your entire life is most likely a work in progress from
mhm,
birth to death.
mhm,
Maybe when you're like 82, I think probably by then, like you're good. But before then, definitely, I think probably a work in progress, I would say, for the majority of your life and ever evolving and changing, even when you're middle and older age. I don't
mhm.
know what people consider middle age anymore because they saying 29 now, and no, they
29?
yeah they gotta chill, right? Anyway, they
Yeah.
saying 30 is middle age. Isn't that kind of
Oh
anyway?
god.
At least 30, right? But
Jeez.
so I can understand you saying I'm not a good man. I'm a work in progress, and I do respect your answer. Um, Now I'm gonna say I'm a good man. I would I would also say I'm a work in progress, but I think I'm a
Mhm,
good man also.
yeah,
And to be good, I don't think requires perfection. So
mhm,
I would ask you um, to let up on yourself a little bit, not too much, but a little bit. Not don't get comfortable, but you can have you can. I think you can call yourself a good person, not you specifically, but while still being a work in
mhm.
progress. I think a person can call themselves good or bad, or neither, maybe
Yeah,
neutral. So
yeah.
cool, but you
I
bring
appreciate
up
it.
of course. You bring up your father and being raised in patriarchy.
Mhm,
Um, and my father was he's a very traditional patriarch,
mhm,
um, which I really, really liked and respected growing up. But as an adult, um, the stuff he's taught me and ingrained in me is difficult to unlearn and difficult to step away from, even when it's something that you neighbors sorry even
It's all
when
good.
it's something that you disagree with, from from a even if it's something that you feel ideologically opposed with.
Mhm.
um i don't think that's I don't think that has to be have to choose my wording carefully.
Yeah, take your time.
So the example I'll use is something like providing, which I am a person who believes in egalitarianism.
Mhm.
People call this 50-50, but I don't associate with those people. So we're going to call it egalitarianism.
Yeah.
Um, I don't practice that in my life, but it's something that I strongly believe in.
Mm,
But to go against what I think is like really, really intense programming that I grew up with, where men provide and women don't, and they have their role, I think is really, really difficult. And
mm,
this brings me to the groups that we described earlier for Black men,
mhm,
excuse me, Black boys, which I do think exist. I don't know to what extent they exist. but
Hmm.
I do think they exist. My track team coach was like misogynistic. He was homophobic. He was. I hope he's not watching. Anyway, he was like a man from that time period.
Hmm.
He is. I don't want to call. Yeah, I'll call it traditional. Yeah,
Hmm.
I think he's traditional. I think the men in the barber shop are traditional. I think the even those groups, like is a group in my hometown. There's one from my church. There's a group of men, and they help out boys in the community. They are a church group, so obviously they're traditional. And they're what else was there? There's another group that might be the church group too, but there's one more group in my community, but it's like separate from the church and track and all that.
Hmm.
It's just a standalone group. And what I'm trying to get to is all of these groups, I think, are patriarchal
Hmm.
and have patriarchal views about a man's place, a woman's place, etc. And for this entire stream, we've been talking about the what we think should be happening in the community, which we both ended up at. We should be creating these groups.
Hmm.
What what happens when these groups are rooted in patriarchy and spread patriarchal ideas that, while they might not be overtly harmful in the way that these men in the community are getting together to come and aid young children who are facing uh, issues like in the physical world,
Hmm.
doesn't this come with a cost of instilling patriarchy in black boys?
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, even because you mentioned church group, that is the big place and big stance for religion in general, but I know specifically for Christianity here in the States. Like, there is a great uh, it sounds cheesy in Bible-y, but it's a great falling away, so to speak, of attendance in those who claim to be Christians, because of those. One specific thing is the patriarchal beliefs that influence and uphold things that are misogynistic, things that are discriminatory to other people's beliefs, uh, and perspectives, and the ways that they choose to live their lives, or the way that they're born, and that's not cool, for a lot of people now. Like, you can't convince, especially young boys or young people in general who have access to the internet, uh, to try to hold on to these beliefs or these constructs that don't seem to be profitable for anybody except that construct.
You can't, because I have an Andrew Tate to tell you about, and all types of school teachers talking about my boy students came in school and said kick her to the curb, and they're quoting Andrew Tate and Fresh and Fit, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I think young men are moving more conservative. But
Yeah.
take that with a grain of salt because I haven't read that. Um,
No.
I haven't
I,
read the paper
that's
that's
fair.
based on yet,
Yeah.
so I
No,
can't
I,
I
I
can't say
think I
that.
think that's fair. And like you said, in a very liberal sense, that may be the case. It may be in regards to this great falling away or pulling away from issues or systems in society. It may be the more liberal side, which may majorly be women in those who may be part of the queer community, right? And then you have young boys who are trying to grow up to big, strong men who are leaning more to the conservative side. And so, like you said, like which is a fair question. Like, what do we do with these groups that are continuing to, uh, support and move along these ideals that are actually harmful to others and ultimately to men as well, but sometimes they don't see it. Absolutely, I agree. I think Jesus definitely was a progressive.
He was talking about equal rights and abortion rights, and
I mean, to the best of his, he was progressive for his time, and I mean, sadly, he got killed. But it is.
was he progressive or was he the wrong religion?
Was he progressive or was he the wrong religion? That's a good
Like,
question.
this is a legitimate question. I'm not
Yeah.
making
No,
a
no, yeah,
statement.
yeah.
Like, was he persecuted? I think because he didn't acknowledge whatever God they were worshiping as their true God, or
Uh,
I
he.
haven't read my Bible lately. I'm
No, it's
sorry.
all good. It's all good. Pretty much one of the reasons that Jesus was crucified and dealt with by the powers that be, the religious powers that be at that time, is that he was telling them that they were doing stuff wrong. It's not that they had the wrong God, but that they were misconstruing and uh, moving grimy. Really, they were moving grimy, and it was negatively impacting their community. And Jesus was calling them out on it, and they didn't like it. And so they were like, "Well, if he's going to keep saying this, and he's not going to bend the knee, so to speak, to our power and authority, and keep making us look stupid, we need to get rid of him." And
Sorry. So I think I asked you an unfair question. I
okay,
think Jesus was persecuted for
Mhm.
uh I think blasphemy or claiming to be the son of God. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Mhm.
Don't smite me. Amen. But whether or not he's progressive um is a separate question
Mhm.
about what he was prosecuted for. My apologies.
No, no, that's cool. I mean, but even in that, like progressive. So he was progressive in the sense of. So I'm sure whether you've read your Bible recently or not, the story of the woman caught in adultery. So the grace that was given to her um, was progressive to be able to like, nope, even though y'all are pulling her out, um, that you caught her red-handed in this sin, just her by herself, even though she was committing adultery with somebody else. But they're going to focus on just her, just the woman. Um, Jesus saw fit that she shouldn't be punished or that she shouldn't be killed or eliminated because of the sin, even though the law says this is what should happen. He showed grace to her. Or another example, um, the fact that he gave, yeah, yes, yes, that's a good way to sum it up. Yes, exactly. So, is it would it be considered progressive today? Probably not, but that was 2,000 years ago. A lot has happened.
I'll
A
give it
lot
to
has
you.
happened.
I'll give
Yeah,
it to you. Heal the sick, feed the hungry,
yeah,
welcome the needy.
yeah.
Probably on the side of marginalized, downtrodden, and oppressed people.
Absolutely,
I
absolutely.
will give it. I will give it to you.
Yeah,
Progressive Jesus. Agreed.
yeah.
Now, why did that come up? Oh, I think we were talking about progressive leaders, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And Jesus was an example. Sorry for the tangent. My
All
apologies.
good. Yeah.
So, you believe that it is feasible to have progressive black men create groups? Actually, do the men have to be black?
I okay. I think that's a good question. I It would be beneficial for them to be black. Yep. Do they have to only be black? No.
Hmm.
Can there be representations of, sake of just using this moniker, examples of beneficial men who are not black to influence and kind of lead or teach young boys that are black? I definitely think so. I also think, though, with that, there needs to be some awareness made. to those young black boys that they are also young black boys. So, if they're getting good advice and guidance from, we'll say, an Asian man, um, there is still a caveat that needs to be expressed to be like, these are all great things for you to be a beneficial man, but you need to understand that you are part of a community that, if I was an Asian man, that I am not necessarily a part of, and that there are particular issues that you need to be aware of and that you need to uh, understand comes with your race, that comes with your community. And I can only help you so far with that, you know? Um, so yeah, I mean, I think we can have influences or teachers or some role models, but there needs to be additional things added, um, that are specific towards a black boy's experience.
Okay.
I think.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. So have you ever heard the phrase, would you rather have a gay son or thought daughter?
I think I've heard that before. Yeah.
Okay. So I think it's also been asked gay son or thug son.
Mm,
The question today is, I will pose an alternative that I think is much more meaningful.
mhm,
Would you rather have a black son who was raised by a black father and white mother, and the white mother is a white feminist who does believe strongly in feminism but ignores the advantages that white women have over black women and kind of put that to the wayside? Or would you rather have a black son who was raised by a black father and black mother, but the black father is like, although he believes in racial inequality, he is strongly for patriarchy?
that's a good question. Um, so okay, I'm gonna try to answer this this question delicately. I think it's subtle, but the trick is those are kind of like this. They are kind of opposite faces of the same coin. I think there is, even though, because you were specific in regards to white feminism, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Like there, so for the white, let me, for the white feminists, they are very much inequality exists, pro-abortion,
mhm,
women's rights, and men are patriarchs, and we need to dismantle the patriarchy.
mhm,
But black people, like, there's not actually racism. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps. DEI is bad, and for the black man, black woman, they are like staunchly against white supremacy. But they are very much like a woman's place, a woman's place, a woman's place, a woman, feminine, fit, friendly, all that.
mhm. Yeah, both are problematic. But I understand that in this situation we have to choose, right? We have to choose, what do I want this hypothetical black boy to be raised in which area. Um, what I'm gonna say with a lot of what I'm gonna say with a caveat that you didn't give. So I'm gonna kind of toss it in there. I'm gonna choose. I'm going to choose the black parents,
Okay.
only because there is something very unique and impactful about black women. And so, as much as there is strong patriarchy there, the caveat that I'm throwing in is that this wife that is respectful and honoring of her patriarchal husband, she does have wisdom and she does provide nuance into the conversation. So there is a sliver of hope that this young black boy is introduced to aspects of womanism that adds some diversity to his worldview. Because on the opposite side, with a white woman that is really strongly focused on feminism, there's still going to be a lot of issues there that will, if anything, bare minimum, hit on a lot of misogynoir, which will be a big issue. And I think also there will be some level of self-hate that comes to the young boy, because that mother would kind of be trying to erase his identity, since, like you said, there's like, we don't see color, we don't do whatever, so she's trying to erase him. Both of those two things are play a critical part in creating very dangerous men. And I understand, because this is like this is a loaded trick question. I get it. The other side, with a very headstrong patriarchal black father or whatever, that too can also create very dangerous man. But again, the caveat that I'm holding on there is that there is a black mother, and the black mother can introduce to this young black boy concepts, ideas, and even images that can soften his worldview, and how to navigate things. That's that's what I'm going with. What would you choose?
Oh, I'm not answering that question. I have no interest in answering that. I choose neither. So I think you're putting a lot of faith in that black woman to influence her son away from patriarchy.
And I understand. I will say, like, that is unfair, especially in this conversation of black male images. That is unfair to put all of that pressure on that black mom. I understand. That is in itself probably misogynoiristic. And if that is the case, I apologize for that. I just trust a black woman more.
I'm trying to see who's texting.
I think that was a notification, just like an Uber Eats.
Oh, I'm sorry. You wanted to
No,
get food in the
no,
middle?
no. It's probably like a sell or something like that. But no, I'm not waiting for anything. I'm not expecting anything.
You have the Uber Eats notifications on?
I got to turn them off, but yeah, they're on.
Interesting. Anywho, I think the white woman black man relationship would still, even if they're a feminist, I think they would still hold misogynoir at least. Because the idea that black people pull yourself up by the bootstraps, blah, blah, blah. I think if black women or black men were complaining about white supremacy, Like the dynamics of the household, I think would be like, oh, black men compared to white men, ghetto, pull up your pants. Black women compared to white women, ghetto. What's it called? Masculine, unfeminine, blah blah blah. Like I still think even if they're feminist, if they have, I think a lot of anti-black rhetoric also is interlinked with misogyny.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't know that they would be able to be white feminist without still being um, number one racist, but number two or anti-black,
Hmm.
and number two still probably misogynistic just towards black women,
Hmm. Yeah.
and even if it wasn't misogyny, what if they were just like, oh, black women are ghetto, loud, ratchet?
Yeah.
Would it really be any better than a misogynistic black parents? I don't think so. So I'm going to go with the two black parents who are subscribers of patriarchy, and we'll hope he avoids the red pill.
Yeah. I think again that's it.
Okay, so that was our what is it called? That was our not commercial break, a little conversation resetter. Let's
Hmm.
call it that.
Okay.
What does this? I feel like we've strayed away from the original question, which has
Mhm.
to do with what is the black man's image? How does our conversation relate to the black man's image as far as what do these communities do for the black man image, if anything,
Uh, these we're
that
talking
we're
about,
proposing?
right. Um, they, if bare minimum, they're providing more black male images, particularly to young boys. And
So
I would also say to society too. But go ahead.
so this you're so you're referring to a sort of internal image within the community,
Hmm.
when when we talk about these groups specifically.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's first internal, and depending on how widespread or well known um, these organizations are, that could have an impact externally as well. To, you know, in regards to external image, is that, oh yeah, black men in their community, they take care of or show up for the youth in their community, particularly young black boys. So there is this image of, yeah, like black men serve those who are in need in their community, which is helps combat negative images and also reinforces like, oh, this is a standard that we should live by. Kind of it comes to mind. I don't know if anybody uses this phrase anymore. This idea, I don't even know if people believe it, but this concept that I've heard before, and I'm sure you've heard before too, that black men don't cheat. Well,
Hmm.
it that is an image and a phrase that is presented, but we realize doesn't line up with majority in regards to facts. So it's an idea that black men don't do this, but there are so many examples of black men doing that it creates this inconsistency, and so the image is now false, or at
What,
least worthy of critique. Go ahead.
what do you think is the danger of a false image?
Chaos, utter chaos, chaos with like confusion and also harm to people. Um, Harm to those who trust in it and believe in it. So yeah, I believe in this case, if you are, I was going to say just black woman, but if you are in any romantic relationship, male or woman, with a black man, and you're believing that black men don't cheat, and they do, that's harmful. Um, it also creates like this cognitive dissonance. Like, yeah, black men don't cheat, but why are they cheating so much? Like it it just creates this image of lying, and we can't you can't build effectively on inconsistent foundations. You can't build something good off of lies. You can't build something good off of um, something that's shifty.
How do you propose to break down a false image?
um, I think you have to start with just being honest about it. We have to be honest with the actual image that exists. So to break it down and continue to use this example of black men don't cheat, and I understand that there are some like, yeah, well, I don't know any black men that cheat. I'm a black man, I don't cheat, whatever. But if it's the majority, and if there is both empirical and anecdotal evidence that pushes back against this idea, then we have to accept that. We have to look at it and just not like get in defense about it. Like, we can't keep fighting and holding on to a false image when the reality of it is it's just not true. And I understand that it's very difficult, especially as men. Um, you don't want to take the L. Kind of like what we were saying earlier about being kings. Like, of course, yes. Who doesn't want to be a king? Who doesn't want to be T'Challa? Who doesn't want to look back at our history and be like, yes, we were all Mansa Musa. Like, no, some of us were not. But that doesn't mean that we're any less important or that we're any less valuable or that we should be grateful for our ancestors. But we have to accept the reality so that we can actually be like, okay, now I can make some decisions to become better, or at least continue to strive for something good.
Um, so I don't disagree. I think I think the danger of a false image is making certain people struggle invisible.
Mm,
So I brought up white feminism, for example, earlier, and
mhm,
something that I learned from there was a trend on TikTok. It was a really long time ago, like a month or something after I started YouTube.
mm,
There was a trend on TikTok called the Black Girls Follow trend, and basically it was so black women and girls do not get a lot of traction on TikTok, whether or not YouTube, other platforms too, but this was TikTok specific.
mhm,
Whether or not you believe it's because people aren't interested or the algorithm is racist or doesn't promote it or whatever have you, black women were not getting attention on their TikToks. So they create this, even from other black women and girls, mind you. So they create this hashtag, the Black Girl Follow train, with the intent to, hey, underneath this post, all of you post your TikToks and follow at least 10 people with the something like that, right? I can't remember exactly because it's been years.
mhm,
But the idea is we, as black women, we should be following each other, increasing our
mhm,
following. If TikTok won't do it, let's take matters into our own hands
mhm,
and improve the conditions for black women on TikTok. And there was a sort of pushback from white women on the app in a sort of, how would you feel if I said white girl follow train and we should stop dividing ourselves by race and just we are all women? And there's a sort of attempt to present there's a desire for the image to be unified. And I think, but that requires you to silence a specific oppression that you're experiencing compared to someone who's not experiencing it, right? Like Morgan Freeman says, oh, the way to get rid of racism is stop talking about it. Or I think some people say I don't see color or I
Mhm.
don't see race. There's
Mhm.
just one race, the human race.
Mhm.
And when we try to create this image of unity, this is just an example.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think what happens is, well, if you don't see race, then you don't see that black people are being disproportionately killed or
Mhm.
discriminated against or
Mhm.
denied a bank loan or a job or
Mhm.
corralled into certain neighborhoods, punished more harshly. Like, okay, you can't, if we're presenting the image that nothing's wrong and we're kumbaya together and there's no issue between us, I think we are silencing people who might be experiencing oppression at our hands. In
Mhm.
that case, it would be at white women or white people's hands.
Mhm.
Intracommunally, I think if we're presenting a false image, the people to suffer this, I think, would be probably black women, probably black children, and I would say other black men. Like,
Yeah.
I remember the pushback against the absent father narrative. And there was like a CDC study where people were like, no, black fathers are actually like super involved in the household. And like this, it's just a myth that they're not involved. They're actually like eating dinner with their kids every day. And number one, like from an anecdotal perspective, no. Um,
Not no.
from from a perspective of data, I think that would be untrue as well, according to Pew Research most recent data around absent fathers. But also, so if we get rid of the absent father image, I think this creates a the type of struggle that it is to raise a child alone after the father abandons you and the child, I think becomes lost. The struggle of growing up with one parent absent, I think becomes lost. And the issues that real people are experiencing and that are affecting households become invisible. So I do agree with you
Yeah.
as far as trying to build a community on a false image. I don't think is good. I think people, you also said this, I think, well, black men, I think are reluctant to, I think are reluctant to grapple with this image, at least. I don't know if I would make a distinction between public and private, actually, but I think black men are find it difficult to grapple with this image because I don't think this is something that would be done without benefiting. How do I put it? I think this would to acknowledge this, I think would lend credit to white supremacy and aid white supremacists in saying that black problems are internally caused. And while I do think some things we have agency over, I also believe that there is a system of white supremacy bearing down on us. I believe to address these problems would aid white supremacist politicians or whoever to further deny black people aid that is needed to combat white supremacy with the preference of saying, well, this is just black people's fault because they don't take care of their kids in this case.
Mhm.
So how do we address this image without lending credence to white supremacy and losing what I think is necessary? Like, I believe we are owed from the government. I believe black people are owed, including black men, are owed from the government
Mhm.
program, social programs, employment programs, scholarships, whatever. I think we're owed it.
Yeah.
Um, and I think there is more of an argument to withdraw these things if we lend credence to the images that I do believe are real.
Mhm.
Um, but again, how do we navigate that?
I think the what sometimes is very difficult for I think people to accept is that multiple things can be true at the same time. So yes, white supremacy is a very real thing. Racism is a very real thing. But there's also, like you were just touching on, agency, personal agency. There is also we have to accept that there are those who choose to use their agency to be neglectful. Like both are true. Both are true.
Stop looking at the comments.
I'm trying not to. You putting them up there.
So I mean, I guess this is difficult in practice, so I'll pose it to you. I think externally we should be very, 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 very liberal, left leaning, whatever you want to call it, and we should be very focused on getting Black people social programs that I think are necessary
Absolutely.
and what I describe as like soft reparations, because I don't think we were given what we were owed, and this is kind of a well, here are some scholarships you can use. And so like, I believe these are like great value reparations, in my opinion, that
Yeah.
don't do as much as I'd like to address systemic issues, but do
Mhm.
try to.
Yeah.
When it comes to our engagement outside of the Black community, I believe we should be very, very, very pro Black, and we should be very, very, very left leaning. When it comes to conversations intracommunally, I do believe that we should focus more on individual agency. And while we can inform people about the reality of living in a white supremacist system, um, I think we should still support, we should still promote. We should still promote individual agency and achieving something like as an individual, even in a system where it's difficult to do so.
Mhm.
Practically, though, how these are conversations that I would like to be separate. Like, I don't think I would ever go into a white space and be like, Black men need to do this, Black women need to do that, and
Yeah.
Black men homicide rate. Like, these are not things that I feel like I would ever go into a white space and talk about. But these are things that I think are necessary to be discussed in Black spaces.
Mhm.
How do we, or is it possible or feasible to gatekeep these conversations?
I think it is possible, and I think even what we were just saying, like I think we should be mindful of who the audience is at the time. So when dealing with white people or the government, we talk about racism. We talk about white supremacy. We talk about pay what you owe. Like you address those issues. You talk about uh, how like police officers impact the Black community. Those things you're very clear and direct on those issues. Then other issues, like if we're still talking about absentee fathers, you address that specifically within the Black community, and that comes to that individual responsibility. But what I would say, or to add to that, I think is not only focusing on an individual's responsibility. Um, it's also I think we should try to push the belief in interdependence. So it's not just like, okay, you need to be a better dad or a better whatever just for you or for your immediate circle, but like as you strive for higher, it's ultimately helping the collective because we are interdependent on one another. Like you, as a Black man, you should be striving to be useful to those in your community who are dependent on you to show up as a Black man. And you also need to be aware that your community, that you are dependent on your community also showing up for you. Um, it- like I think having that mindset and that perspective is healthy and necessary for us to be motivated to make changes, because sometimes for people who are individually only solely individually minded, they don't have the right motivations. You know, they may be comfortable paying them bare minimum child support and not being active in their families, and being active in their child's lives, because they feel like, oh, I'm doing just enough. This is good enough for me. My dad didn't pay child support. I'm doing it. So progress. but understanding that, like, no, you need to be a good father. Whether that's, if say the relationship just didn't work out, right? So it's not that, uh, like the parents, they just can't get along or whatever, but the father can just be like, no, I still want to be in my child's life though, like, and it's more than just paying. Like, I want to be there as often as I can, as much as I need to be. I need them to be in, I need to be in their lives. That is another level, because you understand that, like, these kids are depending on me, and me being a good father make sure that these children are going to be beneficial assets, not assets, but being beneficial members of our greater community. Like, it's all dependent, instead of it's just like, well, I feel like I'm succeeding making sure I do my child support on time or whatever. I don't know. That perspective, really changes. Or am I looking at this comment? Can I look at this comment?
Yeah, you can answer it if you'd like to. Jamal, do you think that Black people are a monolith? Not in our everyday lives, obviously, but in the way society views us as a whole.
Does society as a whole view us as a monolith? Absolutely. I think absolutely. Which I think sucks. As much as the society at large likes to pick and choose which Black people they like to esteem, and they like to pick and choose which Black people they like to denigrate. Um, as a whole, they look at us as just one thing. And
So
sorry, go ahead.
we talked about the Black image internally. To follow up on this comment in your statement, the Black image externally, you believe is a monolith.
For the most part, yeah.
If if Black women can be the most educated demographic, the most entrepreneurs, and actualizing and making tangible differences to combat the stereotypes that exist against them, but one sexy red or whoever can come out and be used to generalize the entire community of Black women, is it worthwhile to attempt to change the image externally? Even if we were to change the image from one monolith to another, couldn't that image be damaged by just one bad? Like, I think it's a common joke in the Black community that as soon as we see somebody on TV and they just shut up something, and we're all hoping that it doesn't turn out to be a Black person, because then we're going to have an awkward day at work the
Yeah.
next day or something like that. So is it even worth trying to change it if such strong stereotyping exists?
Yeah. I think um uh I think the external image is should be less of a concern for us. Um I think the internal image, getting an accurate and clear internal image, is way more important, because the external image very often is out of our control. So, like, just like you just said, you can have all of the, particularly for Black women, you can have all of the successes, starting the most businesses, having the most degrees, and all this stuff, and then yes, you can throw a sexy red in there, and it's just like seemingly the polar opposite. Well, I think what I've seen, or at least what I'm hearing for a lot of Black women, is they are saying "f you" to white people. I don't care. I will have my business. I will have my degree, and I will shake my ass. So what? And I think for us as Black men, sometimes we,
We should shake our ass.
yep. And I think that having that perspective is honestly more productive, because, like, at that point, we're more interested in, like, okay, um, we know what the real is. We're focusing on our internal image. Like, we know that, again, staying focused on Black men. Um, that if we're changing drastically our internal image, we know that we'll use the stereotypical stuff. We know that we're actually protecting, we're actually providing, we're actually serving in our community, we're actually being present fathers. If we know that for us and for those in our community, that they know that that's true and that's consistent, as much as the external wants to mar that or change that, it'll fall flat. And I think that's having that internal, a firm internal core image uh, that is real is way more valuable than what other people think, because they will lie about it, they will change it, they will morph it, they will use it, they will abuse it, they will try to take advantage of it however they can. But if we know and we actually make the effort to be like, no, we are consistent inside regardless of whatever they're doing outside, that gives us power to move
But
how we need to move. Sorry.
but in a white supremacist system, does it?
um
If today we are like educated, wealthy black men who are just working good, earnest jobs, taking care of our families, and then tomorrow the possible leader of the free world says Haitians are eating cats and dogs, and we're Haitian. And we know in our community that we are good, productive members of the community,
mm,
but our image now to at least half of the nation, who outnumbers us greatly, is that we're eating animals or they're just engaging in degenerate behavior.
mm,
Um, doesn't this have a real effect on people, like
mhm.
bomb threats or threats of violence, or
Yeah.
you're denying someone a bank loan or access to school or
Mhm.
employment?
Absolutely. I definitely do. I agree that would have, I mean, it does have an impact on us as a community. But if we are in that better place of having a strong internal uh, like clarity for ourselves, that will impact how we choose to respond to those things, right? Like, for example, you mentioned earlier about addressing pretty much the government in regards to like reparations and things like that. If we are on the same page, if we are more financially adept, if we are just in general, just better mind focused, okay, we are all about our community and everything. We can fight against those things and fight in a and show up in a more effective way instead of being divided, lopsided, and all over the place. So like we can, if that using this example of cats and dogs, if that's how you want to treat us, if that's how you want to uh, view us in that way, but we have our strong core community, we can attempt. I'll say attempt because it doesn't necessarily mean it will happen, but we can choose to withdraw some of ourselves from that. And I'm using what I'm thinking. The example I'm thinking of in my mind is like a Georgia bus boycott. We were on the same page. We're not going to interact with you anymore. So you want to make fun of us? You want to feel that way? Well, you like the products that we make. So in this case, so like Haitians, like food or something like that. And you want to patronize our stores? You can't patronize our stores. You can't come here.
Are you saying we should create black jobs, black bus drivers, black grocery stores?
uh, I think so, if it's possible. I do. I think there are a lot of good ideas that exist within our community, and I do think that that kind of idea, which often is it is, I think, popularly subscribed to brothers and sisters in the Nation of Islam. I think that's a good idea if we can. I know it's a lot harder than just saying it, but I think it's a good idea that we have as much as we can in our control for the benefit of our people. like you say, grocery stores or transportation services or whatever it is, um, for that position of like leverage and power, to navigate in this white supremacist world that we live in.
Do you think the external image that people have of black men can what am I looking for? Do you think the way that society views black men,
Mm-hmm.
uh do you think black men are able to escape this portrayal without being affected? So if I watch TV and largely the roles that black men play as actors might be thug number one, thug number two, thug number three, gang member, blah, blah, blah. If they are typecast into certain roles and if they are criminalized in, I can't remember what exactly the research. There was a report done on the way that news stories cover white versus black criminals.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they not only do they cover black criminals in a much less favorable light, but people who view it tend to also um, project negative stereotypes on black people who are in the news for negative reasons. So usually they're portrayed more negatively in society and also viewed negatively compared to their white counterpart by the reader. Do you believe this has an effect on black men? And if so, what effect?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that is another layer of images that, um, we see in our everyday life that it may not necessarily be immediate, but it impacts how we see ourselves and how we see each other. So even you just saying that, thug one to Z, like if you constantly see black men as that, you will start to condition yourself. There's like whenever I see a black man, he must be a thug. Um, and we do have to again fight actively against that. It actually, I want to, if it's okay, if we can I, because what you just said uh, brought up a clip from a movie that I think actually wrestles with this topic of how black men show up, or how
Sure.
black people in general, but black men, because the main character is black. Uh,
Sure. While
okay.
you get that, I'll read the super chat.
Oh yeah,
Thank
please.
you, Vision Harry, for the $5. Half of the proceeds will go to the beneficial blurred. So that's like $1.25 because YouTube takes their half. Anyway, black marriage, black family, black healthy children, black businesses, black voiceover artists, black audio engineers, black didgeridoo players. I think Visionary agrees with creating black jobs and a good black image in the community
Yeah,
and better black behavior. So
yeah,
agreed. Thank
yeah.
you, Visionary. And
Yes, thank you.
also skilled black men competing in the global economy.
Mhm.
I think we should. I know people say we can't use the master's tools, but I think we should definitely like get really rich and gain a lot of political positions, and then just usurp or something.
No, I have you ever? Okay, I got the clip pulled up, but have you ever heard of a? I'm not completely fully versed in his teachings and stuff, but the ones that I am aware of, I rock with. But have you ever heard of Dr. Claude Anderson?
No,
Okay, he's, I guess in short, considered like a black economist. that pretty much has what you just said, that Black people need to develop their their strength and power in various areas, but specifically economy. And I think there's a difference between um, just developing more Black capitalist and developing Black men and women who choose to use their funds and their monies for something that is serving to the Black community. Because I agree with you. Yeah. Like, am I saying that everybody needs to be a millionaire? No, not so much. Because that's a lot. Um, but for those who do become millionaires, I think they can funnel a lot of their money to actually benefiting the Black community, instead of stunting on people, or
Mm.
sending that instead of sending that money to other communities. Like, for those who are in politics, I think they can be involved if they want to be, but also try their best to keep Black issues and Black people at the forefront. Like, wherever we are, whether it's entertainment, education, finances, business, health, like, making that effort to be like, okay, Black people come first. Um, and I would add a little caveat there, um, that the marginalized Black people come first. So Black women and children come first, because I know there's discrepancy sometimes in quote unquote B1 spaces, that Black first sometimes just means Black men. But I think if we help, going back to Jesus, if we help the least of these, that'll be better for the community as a whole. Um, yeah. But this clip, I guess, sorry, I felt like that was a little tangent.
No, it's fine. We
Um,
are here to discuss Black male issues. That's what we will do.
yeah. So this is from a clip from a movie called Hollywood Shuffle, by Robert Towson.
I'm not going to get monetized for this, am I?
I don't think so.
Okay.
How can I
I trust
find
you.
it? Okay. Um, I don't. Yeah, I don't think so. But if I don't know, now you got me feeling bad. I don't. I, you
If
shouldn't.
they take the video down, they take it down. It's not like any men showed up.
Okay. Well, the movie Hollywood Shuffle. I would recommend anybody, if you haven't seen it, check it out. But it's about a young Black man who's interested in becoming an actor, and it follows his journey going through auditions and eventually being picked up for a role and stuff. But he's wrestling with how Black people are represented in media, and he's trying to, like, decide, do I still want to continue to do this role, even though it may make Black people look bad, or do I hold on to, like, my convictions and stuff? And so this scene right here kind of touches on what you were just saying a little while ago about, like, Thug One, Thug Two, and really wrestling with the images that are externally depicted, for Black people. So I will just play it, and I guess we can talk about it. All right, let me know if you can hear it.
You see something? We jive, turkey.
This is bullshit.
What?
This is bullshit.
I mean, what are you talking about?
This is some more the white man stereotype of a Black man, yeah, brother.
Really?
Yeah, brother. Only an Uncle Tom would do this shit. They just looking for somebody to sell out.
Sell out.
The only role they gonna let us do is a slave, a butler, or some street hood or something. Don't sell out, brother. Don't be a butler or a slave.
Jesse Wilson.
Pause it.
Jesse Wilson,
Oh,
you're next.
Is he gonna try and, brother, don't take this job?
you gotta
better
let
than
it play
this.
out.
And then he gonna try and, is he gonna try to get the job himself after he convinces this man to have morals?
You gotta watch the clip.
Understood.
Jesse Wilson. Jesse Wilson, you're next.
That's me. Good luck, brother.
Butler or slave?
Stop it here! Now you said you want your freedom. You know you ain't gonna have no freedom back there.
What if we get caught? What if we get caught?
I'll kill you if you don't stop that crime. And I'll kill anybody else that stands in the ways of freedom. Now we ain't going back. That day ain't none of our home. So let's
Is that
move.
Fort Wisdom?
I can't wait to get my freedom.
Mendingo, I'll go anywhere with you. Mendingo, I love you.
I love you too, Bessie. Willie Mae.
Mendingo, Mendingo, I can't go back there. I love you too, Mendingo.
But Miss Ann, what about your kinfolk?
I don't care. I'm going with you.
Now, am I going to get demonetized for anything that's about to play?
I don't think so.
I don't know why we leaving Mouse's house. He been good to us. He feed us on Saturday, clothes us on Sunday, and then beat us on Monday. Or was it Tuesday? I don't know.
Jasper, I just wants to go. I was a house nigga, Jasper.
What?
Jasper, don't you want freedom? We going to Promised Land. The Promised Land.
Promised Land? Cleveland?
No, Jasper.
Baltimore?
No, Jasper, the Promised Land.
Oh, the Promised Land. Minnesota?
And cut. Hi, my name is Robert Taylor, and I'm a black actor. I had to learn to play these slave parts, and now you can too, at Hollywood's first black acting school. It teaches you everything. Learn jive talk 101.
You motherfucking jive turkey motherfucker.
All right, that's good. You work. All right, you try it.
You fucking mothers.
No,
turkey
man,
jive.
no, that's wrong. Watch me, man. Just be cool. Jive, turkey motherfucker!
Good work. That's only the beginning. You too can learn to walk black.
No rhythm. Observe.
Yes! You too can be a black street hood. But this class is for dark-skinned blacks only. Light-skinned or yellow blacks don't make good crooks. Here's a student in our advanced class.
And it's still a TV. It just happened to be under my coat. I don't know nothing, policewoman, Kojak, Ironside. Yeah, I'm a gang leader. I'm in the Warlords, the Vice Lords, the Onion Head.
Let's talk to a graduate. This is Ricky Taylor. Ricky graduated from our class 3 years ago. Ricky, can you tell us what you've been doing since you've graduated?
Well, Robert, I've played 9 crooks, 4 gang leaders, 2 dope dealers. I played a rapist twice.
Whoa.
That was fun. Currently, I'm filming a prison movie. I play this tough con that tries to fuck this new inmate.
That sounds wonderful. I'm so happy for you. Need I say any more? It's Hollywood's first black acting school. It teaches you everything.
Classes are enrolling now. Learn to play TV pimps, movie muggers, street punks. Courses include Jive Talk 101, Shuffling 200, Epic Slaves 400, Dial 1-800-555-COON.
Black acting school. Don't try to be cool. Call Hollywood's first black acting school. Today.
Oh, it was all a dream.
Yes, yes. But I mean, first, you can tell me your thoughts. I'm assuming that was the first time you've seen that.
Yeah. That was not transformative commentary. So I'm going to preemptively assume this live stream will be taken down against my will. But secondly, what were you trying to tell me here? I want to understand what you were trying to communicate to me.
No, yeah, I think that whole part of the conflict that he's having there, even in that dream sequence, is understanding that this is how we're perceived, and these are the only roles that we can play. And I think, good.
Is that is it his perception that they only play those roles because they accept them, or is it his perception because that's the way that Black people are seen?
It's a mixture of the roles that they accept, but also what Hollywood wants. Because that was the beginning of the other guy saying, like, why are you doing this? Like, they only want us to play these kind of roles. And so Hollywood is what is continuing to present, or I guess maintain, these external images. Going back to the external image part, like, these are the only roles that we can fit in. These are the only things that are acceptable. So even if we want to fight back against it, it's going to be suppressed, or it's not going to be publicized. And I think that's ties into this whole black man image thing. Like, we have to, one, be honest about the image that we do have, and two, which image are we going to try to fight for the most? A false image, or a strong, true, beneficial internal image? Because I'll give you a summary of the movie. What happens is he gets casted, or he gets cast for a role where he's playing a pimp, more or less, and he's learning his lines and all this stuff, and he's doing it. And he has a younger brother that shows up at his set one day, and his younger brother sees him playing this role as this pimp, and he has another one of, like, these fantasy dream kind of things, and he's conflicted because he thinks, oh, his younger brother is like, yeah, I want to be just like you when I grow up. So he sees an image of his younger brother acting like a pimp because that's the image that he's seeing. And so what happens is, as the movie is wrapping up, he quits that role because he doesn't want to continue to propagate this image, and chooses to continue to act, but he ends up acting or playing a part in a commercial for the post office. So he shows up being like a representative of a good postal worker. So black job, So instead of representing a degenerate image, he's at least representing an image that is, I guess, more positive. So he's still acting, but he's choosing to act in a role that promotes a better image for his community.
Okay. I think our image externally, I don't actually know if I think it has an effect. You described his the little boy watching, and watching him be a pimp, and that influencing the little boy. I don't know if I believe that that has an influence on, I mean, I'm sure it does to some degree, but I don't know if I would say it has a significant influence on Black youth or Black people, because I believe Black people would generally, if they feel I think they would generally feel typecast into certain types of roles. Like, I believe this is something that Black people would and do fight against, being typecast and stereotyped. So I think it's something that the Black community, when they see, would reject. What I think is more important insofar as our representation is, I think this is oftentimes the only interaction some people have with our community is through media. Um, Not to say that they never see any Black people in their life ever, but we're, I think, 10% of the population. So obviously, interaction, I think, would be limited, right? And I think a lot of people's portrayal of Black people come from media, whether that's fiction, like news stories or whatever have you, or it's from, I don't know, Fox News or CNN or the favorite TV show. I think our decision to reject roles like this, I think, is more important for the sake of what's what the what people outside of the Black community see our community as and how it's represented. Since I think that's one of the only times that people outside of the Black community are going to interact with the Black community. Really, like, I don't see a lot of white people on this side of YouTube. I assume they're probably going to consume Black people through white media. Um, so, I mean, yeah, I
But
think we're in agreement there.
yeah,
Well, I think we would be in agreement there.
yeah. No, the only thing I was gonna ask is like because you were saying that based off of what you're saying, it sounded like in rejecting those roles, the like those acting roles, the film roles or whatever, or media roles in general, like that's only affecting the external perception of what other people think about us because that's their touch point right outside of the Black community. And so
Yeah,
like my question is, you do you not think that those images have any internal impact?
I'm sure they do. I just don't know how significant I think it is. I know people do talk about, like, hip hop, for example, which tends to be really misogynistic, homophobic, um, and even speaks negatively about other Black men too, not just Black women. And people talk about what type of effect it might have on the community if your son is listening to rapper number one or two, or if your daughter is listening to Cardi B or whoever. But ultimately, I don't think music and television is that influential. And if I'm being honest with myself, and largely, I believe probably I think it's more likely that those images are bred probably from stuff that happens. Um, at least when it comes to, I'm thinking about hip hop specifically. When it comes to Black television shows, yeah, I think the same for Black television shows. For white television shows, I don't know that they would have an effect on the community where we are in white television shows. For Black TV and Black media, I don't know that it would have an effect on the community either. And I would say that probably the media is born from stuff that actually happens in the community, other than not the other way around.
So could could you say that another way? So do you mean
Yeah,
like
my bad. So
no, no, it's
I
okay.
think
I just want to get clear.
so when it comes to whether or not the media affects us,
Yeah.
when it comes to, excuse me, our portrayal in the media,
Hmm.
I don't think our portrayal in white media affects us insofar as our behavior. Like, I don't think we would look at the types of roles that Black people are typecast into and then adopt that behavior based on what we see in white television shows.
Gotcha.
I also don't think that would be true for Black television shows. And although people might say that these shows or music influence us, I think it tends to be the other way around. Like, I don't think some guy from a middle class neighborhood, I mean, I think that does happen in rap, but I don't think it's a middle class neighborhood guy who starts rapping about drugs or whatever. It's probably somebody who used to sell dope and also rap and then blow up, Young Thug.
Mhm.
Um, so I don't know if I believe it has an effect on the community. Like, if is hip hop making young black boys more misogynistic, or are they just misogynistic and they identify with this music?
Got you. I see what you're saying.
Like, I'm not
So
saying it has zero effect,
yeah,
but the effect it has, I don't think is as exaggerated as I think a lot of people believe.
got you. Okay. Yeah, I think I guess for me, I definitely think media has more of an impact than we want to give it credit for. Um,
Oh,
it,
to clarify
but,
on our behavior, like
mhm,
if I watch gang members on TV, I don't think that would make me go out and do gang member stuff.
mhm. Yeah,
Now,
yeah,
if you ask me self-esteem, for example, like I do believe it can have seeing yourself portrayed negatively in the news every day could have a blow to your self-esteem.
mhm,
Sure, like maybe your mental areas, I would agree, but for behavior specifically, I don't think so.
okay. I'll let you do that.
Oh, thank you, Vision Harry. Vision Harry is donating tonight. Vision Harry, y'all can write comments in all caps if y'all want me to see them. You don't have to donate. But thank you. Well, let me not say that because half of these are going to you. My bad. Half of these
No,
are.
no.
I should wait until I'm on the stream by myself to say that. But Petty, if black men displayed a beneficial image of black manhood, wouldn't it influence other black men and boys' actual values and behavior? When I'm talking about a beneficial image, I think we both did this. We described not an image, but rather direct behavior in our community that would influence black men and boys. I don't know if black men are going to be affected by community groups for children, but um, so the image is born from behavior. So I do believe the beneficial image would influence other black men and boys, but only because that would be backed by there would be actual behavior to birth that image. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
no,
don't know if I'm being as clear as I can be.
no. I think that's pretty clear, and it makes sense because I think it goes hand in hand. Like the, that, I think that is kind of the fight of trying to.
Now stop looking at these comments.
You gotta stop putting them up there. I think that's kind of the issue. Like in regards to images, uh, we need benefit, beneficial images everywhere, and need them to be consistent to re like emphasize and like reinforce what's there. So like you just said, uh, those community organizations that we were talking about before, yes, those things are absolutely important. Um, but it's also true, at least from my personal experience and what I've seen. Uh, Young boys specifically can participate in those kind of organizations, and then also be influenced by the music they listen to or the movies that they watch. Or what I was going to get to is the YouTubers or social media influencers that they follow. Because I think about Kevin Samuels. I mean, more or less,
No.
come to hey, more or less, you come to find out that he was just playing a role. You know, he was not his persona that he presented was a character of what he believed in, and it wasn't necessarily what he was living. And so he was creating black media uh, that was influencing so much so that he was honored in the BET Awards the year that he passed away. So, like, young men were taking a lot of what he was saying and applying it to their lives. They were trying to mimic him as best they could, even if it was
Do you
just in
think
words and deeds.
Do you think Kevin Samuel's message could permeate the type of community we talked about where there are black men
Mhm.
forming groups for black boys to
Mhm.
teach them how to navigate boy and manhood and hopefully be progressive? Do you think Kevin Samuel's message would permeate a community like that?
Um, I think it has a chance. Would it be? I don't think it would. It may not have become as popular as it did because a lot of the young men who were in the manosphere or whatever who were big fans of Kevin Samuels were looking like he became that community organization for them, right? Like he was the coach, he was the minister, he was the person that they were looking up to and having engagement with, right? Um, if you have like the reason I say it could is because there are times where he's going to say stuff or where he said stuff that could potentially line up with what a coach would say. He said stuff that would line up with what a pastor or a minister would say.
But I'm asking about hopefully the community. I forgot where we ended up on this earlier.
Mhm.
When I asked, don't you think most of those people would be patriarchal and teaching patriarchy? But I
Mhm.
think you responded with something like, these people would ideally be progressive and teaching progressive ideas.
Mhm.
The community I'm talking about is specifically one where progressive black men are investing in black
Yeah.
boys. This is the community I want to know if Kevin Samuel's message will permeate. Not necessarily just community members investing in black boys, regardless
Mhm.
of their views, but
Mhm.
specifically a community with progressive views.
Yeah, like in that if it's that tight knit kind of no, it's not gonna have the opportunity to thrive. Um
Why?
because it's gonna be they're gonna one, I feel like the vulnerability that exists would be minor or it wouldn't exist at all. So again, a lot of those young boys were turning to the manosphere. We'll say it generally, so it's not just specific. This specific person, but they were turning to the manosphere in hopes of that community. But if that community already exists and they're present and they're active and they are being progressive, there would be no need for that which is online. But currently, that isn't the state of our community. So there's holes and there's space for all other voices to show up.
So,
I hope that makes sense.
yes. I think, in my view, um, the reason why, and I'm only saying this because y'all are saying the media does have an effect. And I believe I believe it only appears to have an effect if you think that these ideas were not already in the community prior.
Mhm.
So I believe the reason why he was able to gain such a following with black men and young black boys is because these ideas were already in the community prior. I don't
Mhm.
believe I think actually there was influence, and I think these ideas have been in the past few years a lot more flagrant than
Mhm.
prior. I think that about a lot of stuff like racism, homophobia. Like it's a lot today that I wouldn't expect in 2024. That's really, really flagrant.
Mhm.
But back on the topic of him specifically, I think these ideas already existed, even in spaces where we would think of people as the quote unquote good black man who might be um,
Mhm.
pro-black advocates or anything like that. I think misogyny and these ideas still existed even in those groups, and I think it's pretty widespread in the community. And I don't know that I believe Kevin Samuels had influenced this and like caused this behavior, or whether this behavior already existed
Mhm.
and he simply shone a light on it and illuminated how widespread this thought is with his subscriber base and viewer count, which is largely black men and I think some black women. Um, but I don't know if I would say he influenced it outside of becoming people becoming a lot more flagrant and open. So maybe I will give that to you. I do think if you see something portrayed in media, it can tell you, and you can disagree by the way with what I just said, but I think it can signal to you that it's okay to say this idea out loud. Like, I mean, we hear the conversations around immigrants now. Like, it ain't even illegal immigrants no more. They don't like nobody anymore. I remember it used to be illegal aliens. They don't even care. They just like immigrants. I don't care if you're here legally. We're gonna change the law to make
Yeah.
you illegal or something. Anyway,
Yeah.
um, so you can respond to that how you wish. I'll just summarize it by saying I think the ideas existed, and had our community have been more progressive in our ideas, I don't think he would have reached us. Like FD space, I assume is like really progressive. Do you think Kevin Samuels would permeate his space in a meaningful way?
I would, in a meaningful way.
You already answered this, by the way, just not about FD.
Did I?
Yeah, you said you don't think it would permeate a progressive
Well,
community.
I think the only reason it wouldn't, the only reason it wouldn't is because FD, to my knowledge, I haven't watched all this stuff, but he pushes back against the narrative. Like he has videos at least attempting to expose or drag whatever the Black manosphere. So even in his progressive space, he had to make an effort to try to combat it. And if that effort isn't made, then yes, I think it's possible for it to permeate because there, even if there are, say you disagree with like the conservative ideas. So say where Kevin Samuels is more conservative or whatever, right? And then you have FD is more progressive. Maybe glaring um those glaring differences are disagreed upon, right? So like I don't know, 100% breadwinner, egalitarian. So maybe one liberal side is like, yeah, let's be more egalitarian. It's like, okay, cool. I'm gonna put. I don't. I see that uh, these are opposed from one another. I'm gonna clearly, if I'm being progressive, I'm gonna clearly just get back from push back against the whatchamacallit. I'm gonna push back against the 100% breadwinner. But something more subtle and misogynistic can slide in. You know, that.
Oh, you talk about Abbott and preach.
Well, I'm just saying, like there could be things that like the more subtle or nuanced topics that seem like, oh, there's nothing really being pushed back against this, that those things can kind of take root. So you can have somebody that's progressive and maybe they believe, this is an extreme example, but maybe they believe, how do they phrase it? A form of like discipline is acceptable. So it's like, oh,
Uh,
progressive, we're egalitarian and stuff like that. But because I am a man and because I do have responsibility and I'm a leader, in this situation, it might be okay for me to, if we're having an argument and my equally egalitarian wife isn't really listening to me, maybe maybe it's okay for me to provide discipline so
is
that we can be
is
on the
that
same
what the
page.
progressives are doing?
No, I'm just saying, like, if there is no pushback, if there's no pushback to say, like, specifically, this is really bad. Don't do this. Don't, if there's no pushback and there's nothing to point that out, that could be something subtle that can be brought up. It's kind of like, all right, yeah, um, this is just a way to, this is a way to resolve conflict in my heterosexual relationship. Like this is advice that nobody else is talking about in this progressive space. So maybe this is a tool I can use. That's what I mean by like subtle things that can kind of creep in, depending on how the recipient of the information is, because they may think, hey, I am in this egalitarian relationship, but I feel like my partner doesn't really respect me, so maybe this is the way that I have to get respect, regardless if I'm progressive or not.
So I'm not sure that we'll find reconciliation here as far as how much media affects a person, because I do believe it affects someone. The amount of which I believe less so than most people do, including you and probably the people in the chat, based on what I'm reading. But um, that's not something that I can immediately prove or disprove.
Mhm.
So I will agree to disagree here.
Yeah. No, I do want to. I think all of the facets are important. So, like, I know for you, which is very important, is very very important that community organizations are present. That is 100% necessary. I'm full force behind that, and I think for me, maybe my inclination is more towards media, but that doesn't discount the need uh, for what you were saying, the community organizations. I think they are very necessary. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think we, at the bottom line, I think we need whatever we can get, like, to try to fix the problem. Exactly. Like,
Yeah, you know how pro black I am, and I talk about that stuff all the time over here.
hey man, we need all the tips, tricks, all the tools, all whatever, to try to deal with this. So I'm just open to whatever ideas that could be helpful, and methods that could be helpful. You know.
Understood.
Yeah.
With that being said, how would you like to wrap up?
Um, I will say, because I know we talked about like questioning, critiquing, the black male image, black man image. I do want to, I guess, leave with. I think it's important that we, as black men, we get in a state, in a position to honestly, honestly, accept, or at least acknowledge, no, accept and acknowledge all of the facets of what our image is currently as it exists. And what I mean by that is accepting that, yes, absentee fathers is a thing, accepting that there is a lot of degeneracy within our community and within us as men. We have to accept that. Like, we need to stop trying to hold on to a perfect or a false image, and accept that it's not as good as we think it is, so that we can actually do some work to make change and progress. Like, we have to be willing to look and sit and examine all of the facts, even if we don't like them.
What is what is your timeline? How fast do you think we're going to achieve these goals that you propose?
Oh,
Will
timeline.
it be in our lifetime?
I
Mm.
think so. I think
you
so.
you seemed a bit hesitant there.
Yeah, I think so, though. I think because we are, one of the reasons I think so is because women have louder voices now.
Hmm.
I think that is the biggest, one of the biggest factors. Because, yeah, this topic of the black male image or whatever, and how it looks, how we look, whatever, has been around for a long time, right?
Hmm.
But we, for some time, our sisters, voices have been majorly, thank you, have been majorly ignored, and suppressed. And I think the scary, beautiful thing about the internet is it's really hard to keep suppressing voices. And that aids in this whole gender war thing. Like, men are fighting for their lives to try to like keep things the same, but women are like, no, this crap is terrible. Stop it. Stop. This is bad. Like, and like they have the space to communicate that, and two, also the support, because other women are coming to reinforce it. It's like, nope, this is true. This is true. This is true. Even, if if we're specifically talking about black men, even other women from different uh, groups are coming in to say like, oh no, I've had this experience with black men too. This is true. And it's just reinforcing it. But what we're trying to do, and I'm lumping myself in the group, what we're trying to do is deny it. How are you going to deny it? Like if viral TikToks are just going, it's just going. It's like it's at some point this voice, this narrative, which I do believe is factual and true, is gonna, we have to face it. But I think generations past, it was ignored or it was suppressed, and we could navigate our way through it. Like uh, even if a woman was going through DV experiences years ago, she would still feel compelled to have to say that her husband is good, or somebody could say their father is good. The reality of where we are now is women have the space and the opportunity to be honest about it, and it's a lot.
So, women being vocal is thank you, Invincible, and thank you, Pineapple Thief. Pineapple Thief. Women, not just black women, but women broadly, have gained a voice over the past few decades.
Mm-hmm.
As they've gained this voice, have become more vocal about issues they face, and those issues have been put on full display and can't be denied. Men broadly, not just black men, are not, the men don't seem to be meeting the women's requests, demands, or what's the word I'm looking for?
Like
Men
expectation.
seem to be regressing and clinging on to the past,
Mm-hmm.
as you described earlier, broadly. And
Mm-hmm.
it feels like as women become more progressive, men turn in the opposite way, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to catching up to the current times and sort of reframing uh, and adjusting to the modern period. Men seem to be still clinging to tradition. Um, if this is men broadly, and you don't have to agree that this is men broadly,
Mm-hmm.
but if this is men, how men broadly are reacting to women's cries becoming louder and more vocal and more seen, do you think the black man fares better, worse, or the same as communities outside of ours if the entire world of men are rejecting um, progressivism in favor of
Um,
traditionalism? How
yeah.
do we fare um, where negative things tend to be exasperated?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think we're struggling. Like, I ain't gonna sugarcoat it, man. We are definitely struggling. Um, I think the again, the glimmer of hope that is there is that there are, using it as a form of media, there are platforms like yours. There are, even though they may be,
Where are the men in my chat who we gonna change?
I'm just saying, you are you are presenting another image. Sometimes because for example, yeah, you were on that panel when we did the panel on Themis' channel. Later, came to find out that somebody did a review of that live. To my knowledge, I didn't know. Apparently, people knew who I was. Apparently, people knew who my channel was. I got less subscribers than you. Like, I don't. Somebody's finding this stuff. Somebody's watching this stuff. Somebody's watching our channels, and that's the thing. Like, whether they're commenting or even subscribing, they're seeing it, and I think that's what we have to keep in mind is like somebody's always watching, and it sounds creepy, but it's true, And I think that's why we just have to keep showing up consistently the best way that we can, because somebody is watching. Somebody is saying like, oh, the stuff that Petty be doing is crazy and wild, but he has some really good points. He's making an effort to actually be supportive and actually supportive to the community, supportive to Black women, and actually ask a really good actually ask thought-provoking questions. It's true. Be lurking. And I think that is, again, the beautiful and scary part. Oh, yeah, see? This is a beautiful and scary part about the internet, because you never know who's watching, you know? So we just got to kind of keep going.
Keep on keeping on. With that being said, thank you, Jamal, the beneficial blurred, for your presence here and for your willingness to discuss this topic with me, and to sit through my niggatry. I do appreciate that, your patience. I do think a level of patience, not for talking to me, but I think if there's a genuine interest in navigating the Black man's image and questions, critiques, and solutions. I think that conversation, if you were to have it with Black men broadly, would require patience and a lot of empathy. And I think it will require a lot that I don't have right now. In my journey to deconstruct patriarchy and white supremacy, I don't think I'm at the point where I have that sympathy yet to hold that space for Black men. I do think you do, and I do think that's necessary, even if it's a standard that I can't currently meet. Oh, his channel should be in the title, by the way, but I'll put it on screen too. I thought I linked it in the title. My bad. But so I do thank you for showing up for Black men and just for showing up for Black men. I assume I don't know if you're streaming this to your channel right now, but I would assume and hope that more Black men are probably going to watch it on your channel, and that it reaches someone who might be interested in solutions, in growth as an individual Black man, or for Black men generally. So
Good stuff.
I do appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Save yourself. No, like, anywho, here, I'll play my outro and we can have a brief after show.
Okay.
I would have been swallowed up. Have you ever been swallowed up? Swallowed up. Have you ever been swallowed up? Swallowed up. Have you ever been swallowed up? Been swallowed up. Been swallowed up. Been swallowed up. Swallowed up. Have you ever been swallowed up? Swallowed up. Been swallowed up. Swallowed up. Been swallowed up. Swallowed up. Swallowed up. Swallowed. Been swallowed up. Swallowed. Swallowed up. Swallowed. Been swallowed up.
Is there a longer version of that?
No.
Okay.
Would y'all like there to be?
Of course.
Understood. Understood.
So,
what did
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
What did we accomplish today, if anything?
I mean, I think we I think I think we did a good job in trying to, if anything, I would say kind of point out the importance of addressing the black male image and why it's something we do need to work on and need to address. Um, yeah, I think I do want to say this. Um, can we do another meme poll? Um, we opened up with a meme poll,
All
so
right.
I got one.
Here's what I'll do. I'm going to do a meme poll because some people can't accept loss. And this time, I'll say it after the poll ends, but I'm going to change something. But if you have a meme that you believe is going to beat mine, then go ahead, by all means.
I just think this is funny, so I'm gonna send it to you. Let's see. I'll do the Discord again.
Oh, you could do private chat too. I didn't realize you sent it back there the last time.
Okay, let me do that.
I must have misheard you.
That's all good. Message. All right.
Cool. Let's see what you got. Let's see what you got. All right. Okay.
Cream. And let me point the cream. The cream. Oh. The cream. The cream. The cream. The cream.
I related to this one a lot more, actually. I related to this one a lot more. Now, I have to, of course, I'll play that again so y'all can let it marinate, and then I'll give my rebuttal.
The cream. And let me point the cream. The cream. Oh. The cream. The cream. The cream.
I think I had to find something that was more modern. I think since old YouTube couldn't have wasn't appreciated, so I tried to find something more recent. I think so. Wait, hold on, Petty. I I think apparently you are frozen. So uh I apo- I think so. So I'm sorry, y'all. It wait. I Okay. Please let us know in the chat if you can see or hear Petty. If you can or not. He's singing right now. If you all, what song was that? Luxury by Azalea Banks. Okay, I would. Uh, okay, let's see. Oh, nope. Oh no. Oh, apparently no. Yeah, I thought that was funny though. I thought that was pretty. No Petty, no bueno. No. So there is no Petty. Let's see. Maybe how can we get you there? We see a frozen picture. We don't. Can you go backstage or? Yep. Hi everyone. Okay. Is he back? Oh no. I don't think so. You're just like a ghost. Um. Yeah. No. I think you're. Hold on. Let me see. Oh no. Oh geez. Maybe. Maybe I can do this. Can I share you this way? Maybe. No. That'll create the loop. Nah, they can't hear you. It's just your. It's just your. It's just your like emoji. Um. Hold on. Maybe there's got to be a way. Maybe. I don't know. Oh, how can I help? I'm sorry. Okay. Sorry, guys. I feel like I'm bad at stalling. Okay. Okay. I was asked a question, so let's do this. Let's see. Can I do this? Are you back, Petty?
That's weird. I had to come back as a guest.
Okay. Oh, I can't. Can I present this? Nope. Well, hi, Invincible Summer. You asked. It's October. That's your favorite horror movie? Oh, what's your favorite horror movie? Okay. Um. While I think of that answer, do you all see Petty? Is
I
he
think
back?
they see me now.
Okay. Okay, good. But let's use that question. What's your favorite horror movie, Petty?
The
To
Conjuring
relate.
was the last movie I saw.
The Conjuring?
Yeah, I think it was pretty scary.
Oh my. So when you do you like for horror movies, do you like how scared you get, or like what makes a good horror movie to you?
I think unsettling feelings. So it's difficult to describe. Let me
Mhm.
see if I can find some images that invoke my
Oh
fight
gosh.
or flight. Like it unsettles me to see something.
Okay, well, don't no unsettling images because that's like a trigger warning and all that stuff. Um,
No, no trigger warnings. We can take it. We can take it.
oh gosh. I'm actually not a fan of horror movies. I'm not really a big fan of horror movies. I don't like being scared, and I don't like nightmares. I don't like images staying in my mind. If I had to choose, though, of the horror movies that I have seen that have made a impression on me, uh, is it Dawn of the Dead? Like the remake? Let me see when did it come out. I think Dawn of the Dead. It came out in 2004. Yeah, and it was a remake of the original 1978 one. The reason I liked that movie was, what are you showing us?
It's a short film called Lights Out, and the woman is like turns off the lights, sees somebody down the hallway, turns on the lights, they're not there, and eventually they gonna get her.
Oh no.
But there's a feeling of unsettlingness throughout the entire. It's not like an unexpected jump scare. You know that there's going to be a scare at some point.
Hmm.
At some point, she's going to turn the light on, and then it's going to be boo, it's in your face or something. But just the feel like I'm lagging. Just the unsettledness in the heightened state that you're in, I think,
Hmm.
are my type of movies.
Okay. Okay. So like I guess the anticipation that comes with it and stuff.
Yes, the
Yeah.
anticipation.
Yeah. No, I don't like being scared. But yeah, the reason I like Dawn of the Dead was the way that they did it. That was the first time I had seen a zombie movie where the zombies were running. Um, so it was like almost like an action movie mixed with horror.
What
Uh,
was it called?
Dawn of the Dead. It came out early 2000s.
Have you ever heard of? I think it's like 21 or 28 days later, something like that.
Oh yeah, I never saw that because it was clearly a horror movie. I'm not gonna see it. I didn't see it. I was nope, not my thing. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Understood. The cream. Okay. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. Not the not a bug. I am behooved.
Yeah,
Just flew in front of my face disrespectfully.
yeah, and yes, that
Really
was two
lame.
decades ago.
It's time to close the windows.
Oh yeah, it's not cold where you are.
It is, but window air is different than fan air. Like that
Yeah.
window breeze, it's different. So I
Hmm.
have the heat on, but I also have the window open. It creates a very unique feeling. Now the electric bill, um, not my favorite, but the feeling. Oh, especially if you're using a space heater. Mm,
Hmm. Well, hey,
indeed, indeed.
yeah, that's important. The feeling, that's what matters.
It's something about a space heater. It's something about having this space heater directly up against my body. And I know this is definitely not healthy for like my body temperature. And the heat should be coming out of the vents and equally dispersed in the entire house, not like directly up on me, heating up my whole body and it gets too hot, so I have to push it away. Then it gets too cold, so I have to put it back. Maybe throw the covers on it in an unsafe way so that it's hitting my leg in the right way while I'm sitting on the bed or whatever. Like it's a specific thing I'm looking for, a specific feeling. The window has to be open though.
Okay. Um, I hope you stop doing that at some point, because that all of that sounds not good. But thank you.
So here's the beneficial blurred if you guys are interested. All things beneficial and all things blurred. Be sure to go check it out if you enjoyed Jamal's non-negatory approach to conversation. Anything to add? Going once.
Please be sure to like and subscribe and share Prince Petty's content.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, we didn't like Shane yet. Hold up. So let me show y'all something because I do think this is important. So here we have the like count. Do y'all see that? Let me make it bigger. 2 likes. 57 people watching right now. 2 likes. What's going on? 2 likes. I am disappointed because the thing is free. That's the thing about it. It's free. Like if it was Patreon or the membership, understood. But the like button is free, and we can't get but 2. That's how we know if y'all want to see more or less, or if you just want to support the channel. Mm, mm, mm. Let's also subscriber shame. So, oh, it's higher than usual today. I don't know if you guys can see that. So currently, 84% of the people who watch this live stream are subscribed. 16% are not. So if you're not subscribed, wait, still can't hear or see me?
Oh really? Oh no.
So y'all just been like, why is Jamal talking to himself?
Sit in silence. Because apparently that's what was happening. I think during the memes, I was just
That's
I'm
true. I
supposed to
can't imagine you being up there and everybody watching. Haha, yeah. And you just having a whole conversation without the other side. Interesting.
yeah,
But
it's gonna be very
16%
awkward.
of you are not subscribed. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you're interested in seeing more content. We cover everything about Black men empowerment. We want to empower Black men on this channel. We want to uplift Black men, and we want to um, provide warmth and a welcoming atmosphere to Black men. That's what this channel is all about, as evidenced by the video that we did today. So be sure to follow my channel if you like any and everything about Black men. The likes are up to 76 now. Good job, everybody.
There is a request to show your meme again.
Oh, of course. Well, you're in the lead, so we're gonna show mine without yours. I feel like I should do a different one now, but that would be unfair, wouldn't it? It would. Let's see what I can find. All right, round 2. I was sick of having to make that the big screen. That should be like intuitive. Okay. This is not what I look. There's, I don't know where it is.
Wait.
There's something that I want to show specifically, but I can't find it. Like this, we've watched it before.
Mm-hmm.
but it is like I have not seen something more funny in a really, really long time. I mean, here, we can do this one. Oh my goodness. There. This isn't a meme. I just like to show this guy sometimes because the people in his comments are usually people who went to the show, and I think he deletes all the comments that criticize him. So let's read his comments. I'll let it play while we read them. I definitely felt this one hit my body. Whoa. He really just threw a spiritual boulder at them. The power of God. In my speech and my preaching was not with enticing words of man's wisdom, but in demonstration. Is that man twitching his leg? Hold up. Now, but in demonstration of the spirit and of power. Y'all gonna stop playing with God. My God, mighty rushing wind, watching the power of God hit that strong is a wonder. Now y'all gonna stop playing. I need y'all to stop playing with God's name. But now where are the comments being honest? I'm sick of this man deleting all these comments. Anywho, I'll submit that as my final work.
I think you should win, Petty.
Well, you won this one. I won the first one. But I think people voted without even seeing both memes. I'm pretty sure people came in the middle and just voted and just assumed I had the better memes based on my willingness to engage in bigotry daily. So, do you have anything else to add before we end?
I hope everybody has a good weekend.
Okay, I'll play my outro and you can stay in the back.
I would have been swallowed up. Have you ever been swallowed up? Swallowed up. Have you ever been swallowed up? Swallowed up. Have you ever been swallowed up? Been swallowed up. Been swallowed up. Been swallowed up. Swallowed up. Have you ever been swallowed up? Swallowed up. Been swallowed up. Swallowed up. Been swallowed up. Swallowed. Swallowed up. Swallowed. Been swallowed up. Swallowed.
Hey guys, I wanted to quickly say before ending the stream, number one, that was a bop. Always love that. But number two, we're going to be trying to wrap up the communal shift that's occurring right now. We're going to try to wrap that topic up tomorrow and put it behind us. And we'll also talk about my role in this space and whether or not my role is to correct or police Black women and kind of do some defining of what my channel should be a little bit more. So looking forward to talking to you guys tomorrow. I will see you then.